This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so we're going to open up this April 18th regular session of the Common Council for the City of Port Orford at 5:31? 5:32, same as last month. Okay, so we'll start with the roll call. Councillor Webb,
Webb present.
Councillor Velisis,
Yes, here.
Councillor Rask. She called in, so she's excused. Councillor Tidy,
Present.
Councillor Burns,
Present.
and Councillor Pogwitz.
I'm here.
Okay, please rise for the pledge. I wonder if we should do the pledge before we do roll call. I was reading off the script, but isn't the pledge usually the very first thing you do? Either way, I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I just noticed that Ann and Greg are the only ones present here that have hair.
I take my hat off, did I?
Didn't I ever tell you that? Like when I got appointed, somebody was sitting in the audience next to me that said, you better watch out when you go up there because the other council member at that point also had no hair.
Look at those guys.
Yep.
Okay.
Flourishing.
That's what happens.
Okay, do we have any additions to the agenda? Nope, but we are dropping 3A, the speeding in Port Orford presentation. That's going to be postponed.
Mayor, can I ask for, if we could move the 8E, which is the Soil and Water Conservation District. Erin Minster is going to be coming. If we could move it to the beginning of new business, because she's coming from Gold Beach and is a mom that has a young child, so that way she could get home sooner.
I have no problem. Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Yep.
Move it to the front,
Where are we moving it to?
like to 8A, or
8A?
she's going to be here at like 6.
Move to her.
Okay.
Yeah,
8A,
it's the scope of work for this year. Yeah.
2A.
She's 8 originally.
Okay.
Okay, so moving on, no additions. We're going to move on to the consent calendar. So I'm looking for a motion to accept the minutes of March, the A-frame lease agreement, and the Beacon broadband letter of support. I don't know if I've seen a lease agreement on a consent agenda.
I'd like to pull that out, or the
Yeah.
agreement out,
Which one?
the letter.
I just wanted to let you all know that the live stream isn't working.
Oh,
So when I see that Joseph isn't.
thank you.
Joseph is not here, but
The USB on that white box.
Oh.
Uh,
unplug it and plug it back in.
Yeah.
It was doing it earlier and then now.
Penny and Dana are on now.
You're getting pretty good at it.
They couldn't hear.
Is that
or
better
they
now?
couldn't
Hear us.
Oh, but they could,
They could
they
see
were
it?
in the meeting and they couldn't hear.
Penny and Dana, 'cause they're the only ones that.
They're the only ones that Penny and Dana
That's why I
made it
just
on.
can't hear us, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Hopefully
Since
that's.
Jen-
Commissioner
couldn't do
Troust,
anything.
Commissioner Troust is Trout,
Trost, it's Trost, not Trot.
TROST.
Trost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did we just go through these? Do people want to do that?
I think that we're supposed to be is.
Yeah.
Number on page 4, it says ONC, Supreme Court decision. It should be O and C. There's a couple of times when, I don't know if Tim, you saw this, that you're referred to as Counselor Pog.
Yeah.
I did see that. I do not take offense to that. I'm not sure why it interchanges because it's Pogwiz and Pog several times back and forth.
I think initials work really good for us
Yeah,
because everybody knows what our initials are and you can't misspell initials and.
I don't have a problem with it, but if council has a problem with it being not quite as professional as we would like, I'm okay to entertain
Do you
that.
mind that being your new nickname?
No, that's been my nickname since I was a kid, so.
Is Pog?
Now we know.
No,
That's
But I
on the
don't-
record, right? That's
Yeah.
recorded.
that's it.
So were there any others?
Counselor Pog. That sounds.
There's a,
Because I
there's a
think he's gonna
rogue
go over-
also,
A lot of people couldn't-
misspelling of rogue. That's it.
Any other grammatical issues?
On 3, see, page 4, under council questions, on 3, how there's a having, it needs to be deleted. How will having 24-hour coverage?
Yeah, that's a,
Oh, right. Strike the,
The first having,
could be how will having. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
or either one.
First, just strike the
Either one
first.
would
Yeah,
do that.
okay, great.
That's kind of cool. You can just take either one. Oh,
Keeps toggling between session locked and session unlocked for no good reason.
you have to click off of it or something after you click it on.
I don't know. It said somebody was waiting, so I opened it.
It should be able, yeah.
No sound.
Try unplugging the USB and plugging it back in.
Now they can hear us. They heard us.
Yeah.
Oh, that was an earlier message. Okay.
And you have the JV squad here. I just
They know you're.
learned this yesterday, so I'm trying to figure out.
Where's our guy? He's
Uh,
out, okay?
He's out.
All right. So, are we good on that? Any other little, were you able to get that? It'll be on the recording too.
I
so.
say that, so even though he's out, he will take this recording and make the proper adjustments.
Mhm.
So
Okay, I'll call for the vote then. Counselor Tidy,
I'm gonna abstain. I wasn't here.
Counselor Burns,
yes.
Counselor Pogwitz,
Tim, yes.
Counselor Velisis,
Yes.
and Counselor Webb.
I'm going to also, the thing is that makes it a no
Why? 3-2 isn't a no.
too.
3-2, and then he would be the tiebreaker.
Okay, so I'll abstain too. It does make a no vote though. Gotta be careful with those.
Right, but did I call on Ann already?
Yeah, I.
Okay, so that's 3-2.
3-2.
Motion passed.
Yeah, no, I was just running.
Oh, you were
Perry's
doing,
not
okay,
here. I
gotcha.
didn't know if Perry would.
I gotta not look at you when I listen to you because it makes my left ear listen to you and you're quiet. Okay. Citizen concerns. On this section, please speak only on agenda items and you have 3 minutes. Is there anyone on the list?
Nope.
I think that's long enough to wait. Anybody online? Any hands raised? I don't even think there is anybody online anymore.
there's,
Nobody can be online because it's still not working.
We have people, Dana's online right now and can see us.
You see
us?
Sorry.
No, I'm just saying, I don't know if the link is, something's different at the city.
And you might, if you were still logged in the blocked version, you might have had to get all the way out to get back in.
Right next to the one you keep going up. That one. Then you'll see who's in here.
Did you call her Michelle?
yes. My
Oh,
name's
that's-
Melissa.
Oh, no, I wasn't trying, I was just saying, but I'm so used to correcting people on Maurice's name, it's natural for me. All right, so no citizen concerns. We're gonna move on to departmental reports. We have a lot on the other section, so we'll hit the high notes. That starts with administration.
Okay. Again, I apologize for the inability to run the form. One of the main things that we are excited about is changing or hopefully changing our office schedule. This is to accommodate our workers and also, most importantly, to accommodate our public. So one of the goals that we're really trying to do is to improve our public service. And so by shifting some schedules, we're going to be able to, starting on Monday, offer office hours from 7:30 in the morning straight through, so no break for lunch, straight through until 5:30. So people can come in before work and after work and even on their lunch hour. So that will be the same days as current, but will be open many more hours. So that actually increases us by 8 hours of public service for the week. So I'm excited about that. Public communication for Everbridge. We had a meeting today with the Everbridge folks. This is the group that we would be able to pair with Curry County, kind of hop on their Oregon Alert group so that it's related to Nixle. So if people opted in to this service, then they would get a text if there were something in Port Orford, such as the boil water notices, or if there was a traffic incident or something like that. So we are continuing to look into that. And again, it would be free because we're pairing with Curry County at the most simple level. We are still hoping to get more applications for the city attorney, as we have many things that need to be looked over, and we have had no applicants for that at this point.
When do you think we will go ahead and look for somebody to do it online?
We have talked, I've reached out to a couple people and people that we've currently working with on other issues, and I still haven't heard back from them on that. So
'Cause it should
But
be,
but it's not restricted to people that are gonna sit here, like what the job opening
I'm
right
just saying,
now.
if we don't get anyone to apply, when are we going to
When do we
decide that
start?
we'll go ahead and look for a firm that'll do it online?
Are we going to post?
So that's what I'm saying. We are looking for a
think we
firm
are.
online right now. We're looking for anybody that
Oh.
that'll put in an application. It's not defined that you show up to the
Yeah.
meeting. It's, we need an attorney to review all the, yeah, so
We talked to
it's,
Sheila
Yes.
and asked her
Yep.
to reconsider. It was a lot less going on. I think she, if you think about what that for
Mhm.
what she's been dealing with the last couple of years.
May I ask, where did I saw the ad in the newspaper. Did it also get posted like at the LOC site or any other
It's on
sites?
it's on the website. I don't know that again, that was Joseph putting that up there, but it's for the LOC.
Yeah, the League of Oregon Cities has a website that for posting jobs. And so that was, when we were posting the city administrator job, we use that, and a lot of people who are looking for jobs in that realm of
In that realm.
municipal government look there. So that could be an idea to spread it out.
We got to get it out of, because people aren't,
Seeing it.
attorneys aren't looking at
Right.
our web page. to
Or
see
our
if we're-
local
well,
newspaper.
but we're not sure that Joseph didn't do that because it was put out for the administrator and stuff, so.
Right, but I think maybe he was directed to do that, and I have not directed him to put it on this website. So we can do that when he returns next week.
It just might be a good thing to get it out farther if we're not having
Yeah.
anybody.
If it's not already, is all I was saying.
Probably should
Yeah.
begin with, shouldn't we?
Also, our paper of record is the Port Orford News, but Mr. Hall owns several other papers around us in other areas. Maybe he could post that in all those other
Okay.
papers as well, just to get it outside of Port Orford.
I think, just for cost purposes, it costs $50 to put it on the LOC list serve for municipal governments, whereas I don't know how much it costs for those big ads in the newspaper, but I have a feeling they're a lot more expensive.
than that.
Yeah, I
What do we budget?
question the size of that ad, to be honest with you.
What do we have budgeted for?
Quite large.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't believe I've ever seen one that big.
How big? Oh, Matt did a giant one? Or-
Yeah, Matt,
Oh, I didn't see it. Did we budget for, I mean, we talked about budgeting for advertisement and such.
It's a
Her
feedback. Her
phone
phone's
is a
talking, and so
feedback.
it's feeding back on there.
And have we asked Shayla if she had any recommendations?
No, I don't believe we've asked.
I'm just
her that.
wondering if she knows other attorneys and
Well, I'm thinking to myself, right? Like, how would I be facing taking over partnership completely? And then there's a lot going on in the city the last few years, a lot, and a lot of big stuff, little stuff. I just wonder if there's not, might be something that she might reconsider, limited on a limited.
if she didn't have to come in.
We don't need her for every single thing,
I think
We don't.
you reached out, didn't you, a few weeks ago? Pat reached out and the answer was
Still the same.
I mean, it wasn't negative,
Did
but
she smack her hand away, or did she say,
I don't know, man. I called her a couple times for different things. She wasn't interested in that. She wasn't interested in coming back. So I am more than happy to call her again.
No,
if that's
no,
what
well,
the
it sounds like
wants me to
you've gone
do.
down that road. Sounds like you've gone down that
I
road.
think that
The League of,
stone has been
League of
turned.
Cities
Yeah.
would be the place, I think, to do that. And so I will make sure that that happens.
Yeah, that would be great. And I believe you guys, it sounds like you've reached out to, as you said, the groups we've been working with. So that sounds great to me.
Right.
do we know how much Matt Hall charges for those in the paper?
It's expensive.
Couple $100.
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
If we wanted to advertise on every paper, I think it's around $700 to $750
Okay.
ballpark.
Okay.
Just when we budgeted for that city administrator, we budgeted like $2,000 for advertising, but then we ended up realizing that the newspapers would not be we decided the newspapers were not a good value because of the expense, but that there were some online websites for jobs that were just focused on cities, and that we were able to do it for like under $300 then. So anyway.
I was just thinking local attorneys that they may.
I will call her
See.
and I will see if she has any suggestions, and if I can beg or twist any arms, I will. Because I wasn't trying to shut anything down. I'll call her again.
No,
I just have tried, and so I definitely have tried, but I will see if there's any suggestions, because I didn't really ask her, if she knows anybody that would like to.
No.
She obviously knows about the opening, so. Can I borrow your pen for a second?
Sure. Well, here, I'll give you your own one. There you are.
Can I have one?
Sure.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Anyone else need a pencil or a pen? Okay. So that's a big part of what we need to have done on there. And just a general reminder that we're starting to get towards the summer. And so keeping our rights of way cleared out is important for people being able to move safely in emergency vehicles and things like that. So that is a reminder. And finally, the biggest thing was also working on the finance committee. So last month, Mayor Pat asked that we create a finance committee, and we met yesterday and went over the 24-25 proposed budget with David Johnson, who he asked to be the head of that, which makes real good sense. The meeting included Councilor Burns and Pogswood, David, Dina, Lang, and myself. We looked over the numbers as of March 31st, and then next week we plan to meet with John Isidore, who's the superintendent of Public Works, to get prioritized list of things that need to get done. And then we'll also work with Chief Hobart that next week to talk about getting the things cleared up and looking at the budget. Once we do that piece, that's that kind of secondary look, then we'll have the regular budget committee meetings. So we will not be doing that on the 24th of April. Those will be pushed probably till the middle of May. But we, again, will get those out to specific people who have volunteered to be on the budget committee, along with you folks. And then also, if you have anyone of interest in your friend circle, it can't be anyone who's directly related to you or a spouse or someone like that, but you can bring a budget buddy. So.
But there is a revenue sharing hearing that was posted, right? Like on April 29th or something? That was the.
And Joseph removed that because the financial committee or the finance committee decided that the work that David would need to do to get ready for that, he's not going to be ready for that.
Okay, got it.
So we are needing to postpone that probably till mid-May, but we will put that out into our normal modes of communication.
Okay, thank you
Mhm.
very much.
So that was kind of the finance report too, then.
That's kind of the finance report too. Yeah. Yeah. At this point, we're, again, working with David and to, again, just work on the budget to figure out where we are. And the 2022 budget audit, or the audit was completed. And so now they're starting to work on the 23 audit. It's my understanding.
Any questions?
These are really cool. I see you had that in your report and
Yes.
didn't get to say it, but I'm so delighted that you guys are taking this more seriously, because I remember the past couple of years, people have complained about not getting their boil water notices. And of course, they just blow away if it's a piece
Right.
of paper. So this looks like a really good improvement.
Yeah. And so Officer Perry helped with these, and then Mayor looked them over and things too, but they're not card stock, but they're a little bit better, and we'll be able to put the date up in the upper corner. And that way they will stay better on doors, because I was out in the wind on this last one putting boil notices out. And so I'm trying to tape, and you don't want to pull off people's paint off of their doors and things, and trying to do that. So I was pretty excited when these came in yesterday.
As far as public communication on the boil water notices, a lot of times if people didn't get them, it's like, unless they say I was out of water and I didn't get a boil water notice, then they probably weren't depressurized, so they didn't get one. But if they say they were out of water and they didn't get one, then that's a bummer. Okay, Public Works. John?
John is not here today.
Okay.
He's not here, but he had his Public Works report. And again, a big part of that is looking at the things that we need to have on a prioritized list and that are going to get done as he continues to keep us with water.
Any pressing questions to relay to John off of his written report?
It looks like his number of the amount of water sold. Did anybody catch that? It looks like,
It's not getting better.
well, it's missing it's kind of, there's some
Oh.
error with it.
Yeah.
But I was trying to just look at, figuring out what percentage it is. And it's the commas, there's like an extra number in the wrong place or something. So I
What's
don't know if anybody noticed that.
Well, if we sold 18 million, it's just
Right.
an extra one.
No, I know. It's just kind of it's a funny little error.
Yeah. See, and we don't see the percentage. And that's the number that we're looking for.
Okay.
But we did see the percentage 2 meetings ago, and I questioned that number because it was down to 39%, one of the lowest levels I've seen in years and years. I
Right.
don't know how we go from 39% to what I perceive this number to be.
Well, and last time I think it was 50, and that might have been, I mean,
I thought it was 39, but
well, one recent time, and I think that was when we had that huge leak.
Yeah.
I've heard John saying that now, but yeah.
okay.
Oh, right. That would add up pretty fast. But that wasn't from that month, but we never know. On the big leagues.
There she is.
All right.
I-
Let the record show that
Yay.
your last arrived at
Thank you for your patience.
5:58. Hi, Perry.
Hi.
You didn't miss much yet.
Okay. I missed the Pledge of Allegiance. What do you mean?
You did.
Did
You
miss
missed
that.
that. You missed some administrative reports, but they're written. All the stuff you've missed is written down so far, so you're okay.
Groovy. Thank you.
Okay, so police, you got your report. Planning, Joseph is not here. Mayor's report, pretty standard duty. Just trying to support Ann in a lot of her grant pursuits and work on some staffing things. Yeah, so just a lot of irons in the fire in the city of Port Orford right now with the budget conversations and transitions, and trying to get Melissa not to take it all too personally too fast.
It's very true.
All right, so Port, Councilor Webb.
Whoa, I can't think of anything that's really super exciting after the last expose of progress. Can you think of anything?
pretty
Last-
standard. I mean,
Voting.
engineering's a little bit closer than it was last month. So the port has
You're right.
3 grants right now, possibly 4. We got the grain grant already established. We just received $500,000 for a supplemental seawater system that's going to supplement the big seawater system that we have going that's part of a large seafood hub, which we're working on getting that showcased on a TV program pretty soon. So that'll be a good tool for the port to use as
Yeah,
well.
we played hardball on that one.
Yeah, yeah. So
The Noah or whoever it was came and said, well, we want to make a program highlighting this, it's state of the art stuff and one of a kind nationwide. And they'd like to do that and they'd like us to pay half. And we were like, so they came back a couple months later and said, we're just going to go ahead and pay.
Thank you.
yeah, so there's a ton of stuff going on. We have money in hand for the cranes and the supplemental seawater system, which will immediately help the port, even though it's not the final plan. It'll get more science and more business down there. Like there's people waiting, I guess is the easiest way to say it.
When's the cranes are supposed to be delivered next July? Is that?
The cranes?
Yeah.
They're going to be done by July of 25. So yeah, but I want to say once we get this foundation plan done, we'll be about 6 or 8 months out from seeing one of them. And I imagine they'll want to stage it pretty dang close together so they're not moving equipment back and forth more than they have to.
Right. So that's happening.
Yeah, that's a pretty big one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I almost started doing the port manager's report. Better not do that. School, Counselor Rask, do you have anything to report?
Sorry, I do not.
No worries. Fire district?
Neither with parks, that we didn't have a meeting we didn't have a meeting this month.
Okay, we can say that, me, Melissa and Dave Johnson and Dina met with a few representatives from the fire district. We're doing some work on the contract and they'll get back to us we'll come back to us with that once we get the details hammered out. Does anyone have any questions for Ann on the watershed?
I just have a little thing to add, if I may, too. Yeah, I don't know if anybody read this, but we did just finish, we just did submit this raw water storage application just last week, so that's really exciting. Also, just have a little bit of a update on the dredging permit. We're waiting for the county to give its approval for, the building clearance, and that is I think the final step before the state can do it. So we're getting closer on that.
Nice.
Good. Parks.
Didn't have a meeting.
Cancel was, yeah, he said.
Oh, you already said that?
Yep.
TLT.
TLT, we met 2 weeks ago. We did not have a quorum, and Joseph is in the process of setting up a new meeting, hopefully this next week.
Do
Gotcha.
you have enough members now, or it was just people didn't show up? Or?
We only had one member that backed out, and he was going to recontact that person. They thought it was a little more complex than it was. So.
Main Street.
Everything's pretty much written down. I had mentioned that all the bike racks were in. Actually, the one at Ray's hasn't been put in, and Main Street's still looking for a place for the last rack to go. So if anybody's got any good ideas, they're pretty well distributed now, but
There's a lot of places in town. There's a lot of places in town.
One right by the Battle Rock sign?
where,
There is, right?
No, not at the park, no, but that goes digging on burial grounds and stuff like that, so breaking ground there, let's not open that can of worms.
I'm just asking.
No,
Do we, I think I've asked
we
this
did
before.
put one down at the visitor center on the concrete, there is one.
Yeah, perfect. No, that's,
Yeah, there's
yeah,
one down there
yeah.
at the visitor center.
Is there one at the Mosaic?
That was going to be my first question, but it was too port related for me to ask.
That might be a good really good location because a lot of the folks ride their bikes up there and they hang
But they
out
don't
there.
usually leave their bikes, they just go up or whatever.
Well, yeah, maybe eat lunch and
Setting it
place
up.
to park their bikes. I don't know. It's just a suggestion.
Or the Fisherman's Memorial area.
Yeah.
Not Main Street-ish.
What, I was wondering about, what about one here? Or is it just, do you want it to be on Main Street?
I think Main
Do
Street
we have
is,
one here?
I know
I've
Main
asked-
Street works on Main Street, but when you're talking TLT monies, it can be
Oh.
spent throughout the city. So just saying,
Well, that's good. That's good, because there's probably a really good spot that's not.
I reread that ordinance again the other day.
So we were, our thinking that it had to be visible from the
Yeah,
highway was
according to the
inaccurate?
ordinance, what I read just recently, it did not have to.
Oh,
Now, Main Street is an organization that predominantly works on
Sure.
Main Street,
Sure.
but if they're working with TLT funds, that, it could get off the beaten path a little bit,
Wow.
so.
I'm gonna have to read that.
Yeah, I don't,
Had that all wrong.
All right.
Okay, well, thank you, Tim. How did we get back to that? Sorry. Thank you, Gary. And any questions on the emergency preparedness, which we will be,
So we've got a couple things here. We came up with a mission statement and our goals and objectives, both, we weren't sure, we wanted the council to be in on, if we're going in the right direction.
Mhm.
So
right.
we're kind of looking
Good.
for
Very good.
guidance on that. I don't know if we need a motion or
Do
just
I,
let it go.
do I have it in my hand, Gary?
The one,
probably need something for the minutes, or for the record, but. And let me see.
I think what you have here is you have prepared two possible motions, one for the
I didn't know if
mission.
we needed a motion or not.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I did prepare
Mhm.
a motion to either accept or not accept for both of them.
I have one little suggestion for the list, but I think that they are great, and I would, if you want to do them together, I'd make a motion first to support to approve the mission that EPC has given to us.
A second.
Okay, so we got a first and a second. Do we have any discussion on this?
Oh,
It's on page 21.
I was digging deep on 20.
Right at the top of 21.
Okay, all right, thanks. All right.
and this is the mission statement, correct?
It's appropriate.
What's that?
Are we, so
We're gonna go-
Well, there's a
First
motion
and a
on the
second
table to
motion.
accept this, and we're just waiting to see if there's any questions.
Yeah,
I was
I'm-
just triple checking for any liability.
So the motion is for the
Mission
mission
statement,
only.
yeah.
mission
Uh,
statement.
So that's the first thing, and then we're doing it. The second part, I think, would be, you've proposed as a second motion.
So the motion on the table is to accept the mission statement?
Yeah.
And there's a second for that? Yeah. I'm good with it.
Vote on the mission statement.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think they're ready to do that because then that's a separate one, it sounds like.
Okay, Go ahead and call for the vote on the mission statement. Counselor Tidy,
Yes.
Counselor Rask,
Yes.
Counselor Belisis,
Yes.
Counselor Webb,
Webb, yes.
Counselor Burns,
Yes.
Counselor Poplar.
Tim, yes.
And then the second one is the goals and objectives under the third line on page 21. There's 9 different goals.
Now, don't we have a
Radio.
backup radio trailer? Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Where is that trailer, by the way?
You know, Bryant,
The Ham,
Yeah.
Yep.
oh, that's at Harry Bryant's.
Jerry Bryant, yeah,
Where
where
it
is
is, it's okay.
And they own that trailer, correct?
Yeah.
We
the
agreed.
Ham.
Did we agree to help maintain it or store
No,
it?
that was the
It was
issue,
all
was
on
the maintenance.
Okay,
We were gonna help purchase it, they were gonna maintain
donations and
thank you for reminding me. I appreciate that. I know we had a long discussion about it, and that's why I asked.
And so it's all set to go, turnkey. Well, I see that the first thing is to,
we have 6 radios that I think I mentioned at the last meeting. And it doesn't seem like there's energy to get those put in at this time, but we're willing to help
put in where, Gary?
in the public works rigs.
Oh, gotcha.
I saw them pick up those radios today, though, to take them to the shop.
That was one set that I got the information off of.
Okay.
And
So what do they require? They require a positive and a negative wire. I mean, basically a cigarette lighter plug would work for those or not?
no, it's a whole thing of getting them.
It has a repeater and all that kind of.
And there's an antenna, and
Oh, okay.
we have to get the antennas are the only thing missing.
Okay.
But Jeremy had mentioned J&D Automotive. He thought he could put them in, and Dick Miller is got a licensed business in California that his son runs in doing that kind of thing.
Okay.
So he could assist Jeremy at least on the first one. And then I contacted Day Wireless, and they wanted the model numbers of all the vehicles, and I haven't gotten that information from John yet. So, but that's going to be a lot more money because they're going to be coming from Medford, I think. And it'd be an overnight thing, and I don't see us being able to afford to do it that way, but I can, if I get the model numbers of the trucks and all that information, I can find out what it is.
Have we considered handheld radios? I mean,
That's
just
another
'cause-
option. They're just not quite as powerful as the
Right.
trucks. And the trucks could be, like, if there was an emergency and they were still viable, then they could be in different parts of the community. And
No, I'm just thinking of doing the work. Antennas are expensive. Every time you get a new truck, you have to,
move it.
do it again, and how old are those radios right now? They gotta be 10 or 12, right?
I remember them 10 or 12 years ago.
And I'm not trying to be negative at all, just when you said antennas and bringing people from other places like that, like
we
that.
could possibly do it, right here for $250 a rig.
Oh, with the antenna?
No, the antennas weren't that much. They were like $30.
Okay, cool.
Not to mention if there's an earthquake or tsunami, cars are
Yep.
possibly out. And so it could just be actually a benefit to have it be handheld. But
Yeah.
Gary, my one suggestion about this list is that on the last item where it says pursue grants, that we add in coordination with the city administrator.
At the direction of city council?
Well, like I think if you could add that, but usually like if people find grants and can start working on them, we just have to make sure that the city administrator is aware and could like say, I don't know if we have capacity to go for that one, or, just so we don't get into the situation we've gotten into with somebody going off and doing it and then coming to the city too late. So that's,
But-
Identify grants.
Because
Yeah, maybe identify grants and other resources would be great. That would be I think, a really good way to amend that.
Well, from our discussion, I kind of felt like we just couldn't do anything that was going to come through Dina. And so it'd have, if we could come up with a grant that didn't involve any city employees, we feel that we could pull that off.
So all grants that go through the city of Port Orford have to be, it's a very strict process. And that's one thing our last finance director used to complain about, because he has to track all of that. And if he doesn't track it properly, we get dinged by the auditors. So it's.
So there's no kind of grants that we could go for that would.
No, because you're an emergency. Now you're under the city. So everything has to go through the finance department and the city administrator.
But it's only one step, Gary. It's,
Yeah.
it's you guys identify funding you want to pursue.
Yeah.
You as the liaison, bring it to the council. And then if the council directs staff to do it, staff does it, you know, regardless if they have time or not. We do it to them every month.
Right.
And then the volunteer could possibly help with that at that point.
Okay.
It's just a matter of like not going off the rails, you know, because of
Could we
that.
say something like all grants must be approved by city council?
That's how it goes. That's already how it is.
Yeah. But it's like
Right.
grants, what phase? Like that city council has to approve it before you even,
I think
If
Go
the
for
city's
it.
going to spend $1, it needs to be approved by the city council, in my opinion.
It's
Yeah.
a pass through. So since it's a pass through, it goes through city finances. And if the auditor finds that we didn't, then we're ding. It's a
no,
ding.
no, I guess what I'm just asking about is it, you know, like you identify the possibility of applying, is that when they come to city council and say, hey,
At the very beginning.
this is an application, we're interested, can we do, you know, we want to let you know.
I've
Exactly.
identified where that match will come from.
And
Moral of
that's
the story is we can do exactly what you want to do.
Yep.
There's just a process to it, but
Right.
there is nothing that can stop you, because even identifying the funding and having people like with their blinders on for that is a huge help.
Oh,
And we will know, like they say they're going to put the notice for this funding out usually a couple months ahead of time. So you can put your ducks in a row to where, you know what I mean? You're not going to be like, oh, we got to get this done this month because it just came out. We can talk about it before the application even needs to be dropped so that nobody wastes that much time.
And
So I
those
think-
match, knowing the match and all that stuff, like what if, you know, somebody else has a different grant and, you know, that's
where the
why
time.
the coordination has to be with the city administrator.
Now,
So
if
I think saying instead of pursue to identify
I agree.
and research other resources would be great, because then I know that people do see lots of grants and that is a wonderful thing to do. And again, you know, volunteers like to do that and research and identify those things. That's wonderful. But sometimes what happens is if we have lots and lots of little tiny grants that are out there, it's on the back end when you have to, yes, do the finances and follow every one of those things, but also, you know, if they're going to give you money, they expect you to collect data. And so you have to do data polls and you have to do different things, and they all have different things that they ask for on the backside of those as you're receiving the money, especially if it's a multi-year grant or something like that. So it becomes like almost not worth the small amounts of money on the back end and even in the process, because that's where I think the capacity is lost. It has to be worth quite a bit of money for the people power that has to be done to track it and to.
would there be kind of like a guideline, do you think, like $1,000, $5,000, 10?
Well, you
I
just
mean,
gotta
more
do-
than 1,000. I mean, it needs to be something that's worth the money to go after and to
I'm
do.
just
So I mean,
curious
that's something that
what that
you
amount
guys would have to decide.
And I think it would require the reporting requirements too, and understanding, you know, what the match requirements are and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, if it's 100% free
We would
money,
be looking for no match.
In kind are the best, obviously.
But don't limit yourself. Like if it justifies getting
Yeah.
some match money and you have to come in here and rob Peter to
Didn't
pay
seem
Paul
like
or twist up
yesterday
arms.
that we were going to have any money to be doing that with.
Yeah, but do you know that for sure, or what funds we have that are available? Like, I'm just saying, don't get shot down by this. It's a great thing that you guys are doing.
Yes,
It's just a
absolutely.
process. We're not saying anything to like deter you. It's just government, and it doesn't make a lot of sense sometimes when it's like A to B, but you have to go to F first to get there. The only, not to switch subjects, but number two, the first word concerns me too, that provide information. I wish it was more like relay information, because I know, didn't the port, like, they didn't like that we had the NOAA weather information on the website. Like, we don't want to be beholden to information that could be bad or that's not generated from FEMA or NOAA or something
right,
along
that's
those
true.
lines.
Yeah.
And because it was wrong.
Right, yeah, that's the thing,
It was
and
labeled as the
just
wrong-
the, like, yeah,
no, it
and
was
that's
wrong.
why, and it was a technology thing or some blurb like that, but it only takes one day or, to,
And that
Once-
might be somehow coordinating. I know it's difficult, but coordinating with that county gal who coordinates with the state for information, the state emergency management people, just so that we don't get into accidentally putting out things that might not be right.
Factual.
but that's just a matter of getting on mailing lists and someone on the committee making a handful of phone calls to say, can I get on your mailing list for like NOAA and FEMA and all those fancy acronyms.
And then if we were to get, say, a container donated from a company, how would that work?
We'd write them a nice thank you letter and
I mean,
hopefully have a spot to put
Do
them.
we need to like get council approval for that?
Location approval, probably.
Yeah.
Didn't we
Yeah,
approve
good,
that?
yeah, but yeah, probably, yes, if it's free, it's free, but you still need to put it somewhere, so.
Didn't we
it's
like
on
the
the
base
town.
with Jefferson?
Because we're going to be working on that Jefferson and 9th Street, and clearing that. here
Oh, so you already have approval for it?
We did, we'd already talked about it.
Okay.
We
talked
have
about it
that
last year.
spot.
Yeah.
It's a
And we
right.
have a room at the fire station. up
Oh,
on
right,
Hempstead,
yeah,
Next to the other one that the county put in.
I like that spot. Okay, yeah. Anything else on this? And what's the next step? Like, obviously, there needs to be a few tweaks, so are we going to bring this back or try to accept it with these changes?
So I know the one question we had earlier when we talked about all this was, you guys are working with the county and their plan, or is this just our plan? Remember we had that question, that discussion?
Right now, we haven't been able to get Ashley to come to a meeting or do anything.
Okay.
So we're
working on our own, basically.
so far. So we're reaching out. We'll try to get
Yeah.
her.
I think we should continue to reach out, even if we don't get people involved, as long as we keep offering, and I think we're doing the right thing to get them down here, so.
Because you have here develop an incident command center. So that it implies you're going to be coordinating with other, like the county and stuff,
Well, and we're going to have to work through that because hopefully there will be an incident command within our community. Say the power grid went out. We're not going to get any help from anybody until the power grid comes back up. And then that might be months after it comes back up if it's down for 6 months. I'm just saying that if something happens only in Port Orford, we're going to get help pretty quick. If something happens regional, we're going to be the last on the list. So we'll need to have
Except the airport now.
we're thinking we're going to need to have somebody or a group of people that will be the incident command that will be coordinating how we're going to get through until we get outside help. And I think, yeah, in agreeing with this, you guys would be agreeing that for us to work on that. And then we can come back to you and say, this is what we think the incident command should look like. And that these are the people that we think should be involved in it. There's going to be some training because it's not just saying, okay, these guys are the incident command. The FEMA has a number of courses that you can do online and explain how all of that works. And so we'd want everybody on board And I'm sure the police chief and David Duncan, and those would be the people that we'd want to have involved in that. But if it was Cascadia, Melissa's probably stuck up at Elk River. It's going to be a long walk to get into the town. There's going to be people all over the place. Chief Hobart might be over in the valley. So it's going to need to be multiple people. Right now, if something were to happen, it'd be very organic. And we would just have to work it out. But it's way better to have that at least thought about ahead of time.
Right. And I think general guidelines is what you're saying, of general people and positions who we would want to have. And like, okay, if something bad happened, we'll meet at Driftwood or at somewhere kind of central and have a place where people know to kick off. So I think just having a big sort of flow chart makes sense, the basics.
I talked to, I can't remember his name, but he's a coordinator with the hospital in Gold Beach, and he's involved like all the time meeting with the different ones that are going to be involved in whatever happens medically and whatever, and that the people are used to being around each other and talking with each other. It's not so that the incident wouldn't be the first time that everybody gets together. But we'll try to come up with a plan for that and present it to the council.
I think this is a great starting point. I think the concept of having in here that you're coordinating, I mean, I see what you're saying, that we're doing it in the city and why it needs to be city alone. But I think having coordination beyond the city is also good, just because.
I think there's something in here about that we'd have all of the different people that we would need to.
Oh yeah, develop a contact list. That, I guess I'm just thinking of in terms of like these ideas for coming up with a command, incident command and stuff, because I think those, like the county organization or whatever, the other communities, other people are working on it too. And I know we don't want to get hung up waiting for them because we need to do it. And I really appreciate you trying to move it forward. But it seems like what Tim was saying, keeping on coordinating or seeking to coordinate might be important.
Because I think we're going to want to get with Red Cross at some point and find out what they're exactly going to do, what they want us to do,
Yep.
how they would want us to help, and FEMA and the state and all the players.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a long process. But
I was just going to say, this suddenly looks like a life's work.
Yeah.
To get all of those things.
I'm just hoping like 20 years from now, there is an emergency, program, and this will help guide whatever that looks like. So I'll move to,
We have a first and a second, we just need to vote on it, right?
Yeah, but I have a little more discussion and
We didn't.
it's all on the first words of the sections. Section 2 says provide information. I think it should say relay information.
okay,
Section 3 says purchase metal storage containers. I think it should say acquire metal storage containers. Number 5 says select locations. I think it should say consider locations. And then on number 10, it said pursue, and I think it should say identify. I think being the keyword on all of those suggestions.
pursue to identify grants.
No, identify grants, cross out pursue and replace it with identify. All of them are replacements.
They're kind of truisms is what they are, to indicate where the decision lays,
Exactly.
is what they are, I think. If that's proper to say, I don't know. So,
I know, I think it's proper to say, because we just said it like 18 times.
yeah.
Me being 17 of them.
I think this is, I like all those changes, Pat. And I think, don't we have implied in all of our, I forget if it's in your charter, that you do have to come back to city council to make recommendations for like spending or so.
We can't make any decisions.
Like acquiring metal storage containers, if you're going to spend $2,000 or whatever, you have to come and say, hey, we've figured this out. We'd really like to move forward with this. And you bring it back to us, right? That's the way
Right.
they work. So we don't have to go. I think what Pat has suggested helps us get to that.
Mhm.
Do you want it to be a little more broad in its description as far as, metal storage unit? You could say, equipment or,
Well, it's goals and objectives, so it's not, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they just want the blessing kind of
Direction of-
to, it's almost like getting a consensus to give you the faith to move forward because we're not making a policy decision right now. Are we making this
make
is
it
a
a policy
policy?
decision right now.
Well, you're kind of,
Yeah, I guess you are, and I mean, it is formed, and this is their goals. Yeah, I guess it's a strategic plan, so it's a total policy.
Policy. I just wondered if
And do we have to have this reviewed as an attorney, by an attorney as
I
well?
wouldn't
If
think
it's a
so.
policy?
I would compare it against something like the planning commission or something, any of the rules or, the guiding document that guides any of our commissions and see if there's anything that's like, oh, wow, yeah, I should have put that in, what I mean, Gary, I don't know if you've done that yet, but it looks good.
Is it something that it's imperative that you have after this discussion, like this
To move
right now,
forward,
or
we're working on different things anyway, and because we're going to come to the council with whatever.
or is what's the merit in slowing it down, I guess, if we don't feel like it needs to be reviewed by an attorney, or but give you time to compare it to the other
I don't-
charters or mission
I
statements?
don't think it has to be done by an attorney or anything because we already approved. We had a very specific charter when this organization started. So that's the legal authority. This, goals and objectives, I think is more like, like at the beginning of the year, council said, here's our goals for the year. I think this is more like them just saying, here's what we think is important that we're going to work on. Is everybody okay with it?
Right.
As opposed to, I don't think it's like legally binding or anything.
Right.
It's just more like this is what
No,
we
but it
think.
would be nice to know before you started pursuing something that you can't pursue that because it's not legal for you to do that. That's
Yeah.
what I mean, not for acceptance, just for good business of knowing that I didn't
Not
just
wasting
waste
time.
2 weeks, on something that I'm not supposed to be doing.
Well, that's the
'Cause
thing
it's
about
like
these.
emergency stuff.
Yeah, this is the thing about like developing the emergency response plan or whatever. I mean, I think it says develop that. I think the first step would be to like contact the sheriff and say, do you guys have an emergency response plan? Is it okay for us to develop our own or,
Oh, yeah, we've done that.
Okay.
But that was when Monica was there.
Right.
The county's completely,
Well-
I don't know what's going on with the,
And I could make it easy. There's a motion and a second on the table.
I think we just did that for the mission statement.
We haven't got a motion for the,
No, not yet. Gary was getting ready to make one. I see that, so the checks and balances are there as long as you folks realize, just like planning commission, just like parks, you have to come to the council to get approval on just about anything.
Anything that's an action.
Yeah, but everything all these steps, I don't think you guys have missed anything. I mean, it's awesome.
it is.
I mean, it seemed like if we had all of these in place, like 20 years from now, we would be in
Much
pretty
better.
good shape.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can give an example of a group, like, let's just say parks, for instance, decided that every tree in the park was not existent and they just got together and cut them all down. That's the kind of example I'm going to use. That's extreme, obviously, but that's why you still have those checks and balances and everything does come to council because you have oversight. And I think every commission should want oversight because that way they don't get in legal trouble.
So if we end up having a campaign to go to the community and we were thinking of every month we'd have an emergency, January might be go bags or, so if we come up with that program, do we need to come to the council to approve that type of thing, you think?
are you going to be spending city dollars?
Yeah, that's the only.
No.
That's all. If money is spent,
So
then
it's pretty much
yes.
just money
I would feel more comfortable if it goes through Melissa too, just because, I mean, I think we've had like having one person be like the center for messaging for the community. So it's not like all of a sudden somebody is saying something as a city policy without having, at least one person look over it. And since Melissa is now our
Mhm.
guiding
Person.
person.
Yeah, because I look, if we're talking 20 years from now, we can only hope, and I'm biased that, we aren't with Facebook or Instagram. I mean, you have very specific things here. And so I'm wondering if that would make it, because I think your goals, I'm assuming your goals are the 1, 2, 3, 4,
Mhm.
and then your individual things, those might change and those can morph and those can do like, oh, the radios, we thought that was going to work, but it's not. So I almost wonder if we don't need that level of specificity for what they're asking to do. But yeah, we want to identify and implement alternative means of communication. And then however you go about that is how it rolls forward. And then, so just have the numbers basically as your guiding principles. And then those ABCDs could change, as it goes. So I think putting that in stone doesn't make as much sense as it does like, these are our North Stars and you have 10 of them. So if everything you do falls under one of those 10 things, whatever you come up with, that seems kind of that more broad piece, because it is going to be a long process in my mind. So it seems like it would be pretty easy to say, yes, we would like to have those things be your guiding principles. And then how you go about those would then be specific to our conversations of what you're actually doing.
At the time.
I was kind
Does that
of thinking
make
the
sense?
same thing. Well, I was
Yeah, having the
broadening
broad piece of it
It
is
could be
better.
something like equipment and supplies, in fact. And take all those North Stars and then just equipment and supplies. And then it just to kind of bolster what Melissa's thinking is. That was my original thinking as well. You just kind of,
Yeah, just drop all the letters and you're golden.
You
I mean,
keep
we
them
know-
for your group that you're working on.
And that's
But,
again,
you know,
we had the
but-
reference.
But I don't think it has to be this specific for what we're trying to do here.
So do you think we ought to try to do that today, or you
No,
want to wait till the next meeting and we'll come up with just the numbers?
less-
I think you
Yeah.
should,
With
I think
patch
you should, I think
changes.
we should visit more and we can come and you can come to my office and we can talk about those ones and you and I can wordsmith this and we can really make it more clean and succinct. And then it would make more sense, I think, for the
And then
council
we
to
can have
bless it.
approval of that.
Okay,
Oh, and you even wrote down my words. Good note taker.
Sounds great, I think.
okay.
Perfect.
So do you think that's something that could be done by our next meeting, or?
Probably.
Yes.
Because it won't be that. I'll try to come up with it
That'd be
and
great.
bring it.
That'd be awesome.
You have the
You
word.
do what
That's
you
what-
want.
Take the letters
Yeah.
off.
And then
have
we'll
those
figure out, and yeah, I think that would be great. And we can talk about that. But yeah, if you give a good first run at her, that'd be great.
And where we take 10 minutes and just bang through this line by line, but let's not do that because we don't want to hurry anything.
We're not gonna.
That's right, we
table,
need to-
so we're gonna
Bring it back.
continue to the next meeting.
And I
That's
think,
why
I think it's a great idea. I feel like we can make it a little
and I
more.
think Carol Lawton and Dick Miller were wanting to come and talk to you, and that could be part of what they
Cool.
talked to you
Okay.
about.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that actually would. Then they can go over the 10 points right then and we can accept it. So there's
I just
no
wanna make
motion.
one more
Just,
statement.
yeah, go
So
ahead.
We're going into budget session as well, so can we get, that's why I asked.
I know that that's what you're doing.
I specifically.
So
can
long
we
as-
Get it done by next month, or is it gonna take us?
It could take 20 minutes
Okay.
if they come to Melissa with everything already,
Yeah.
changed.
Okay.
And
I am willing
Melissa
this
might
month
have-
to have,
Okay.
like an hour meeting to get
Okay.
this done, because this is an important thing, to the health of our community. So we need to be thinking about these things. But if you could get a real good run at it and it not take a multiple hour meeting, that would be awesome, because you have budgets and both.
So I would make a motion
3 minutes.
to continue
Do we
this
need to?
item. Do we need to, or do
Sign
we
an
just need
item.
to remember to put it?
We'll just remember
Okay.
to write it down on the
Excellent.
next
old
agenda.
business for next month was.
Continuing action item,
Okay.
goals and strategy and goals. For the emergency committee, what they call it. Okay, so we are moving on to old business 7A. This is the second reading of the ordinance 2024-01, and this has not been reviewed by an attorney, correct?
Correct.
So do we even need to do this second reading? Because I don't feel like we'll be able to. But on the other hand, is that going to kill their timeline? Because this is the exact same franchise agreement that's went before all the other cities too that did review it, but I don't feel real fuzzy about it.
This is part of the stuff that goes along the power lines, correct? With
This is the franchise
yeah,
agreement.
but broadband is Coos Curry is
Yeah.
Correct.
Coos Curry Electric.
Beacon Broadband is,
So-
yeah. And they're doing the overhead section right now, and then they'll do the
in-ground there.
in-ground, which,
And there's just so much verbiage in here that could mean, I mean, I don't know what a lot of it means.
Can we talk to just one of our neighboring communities?
I talked to our neighboring community at the beginning. I talked to Gold Beach and they passed something very similar to this. And the broadband, and the reason I did this is because before Melissa showed up, they were contacting us. And so I talked to the broadband guy. So they said that it's the same pretty much in all the communities. And the
We've
same
already approved that
rate.
stuff through CCE, through Coos Curry. I'm just saying, we approved the broadband stuff through Coos Curry a while ago.
And as stated, they did offer us the highest
They
percentage,
did.
They did.
5%,
Of 5% of what?
5%.
of their proceed or whatever.
Oh,
Of
Forget- it's
bill.
the
That's the
franchise.
highest they can
Right, yeah.
offer, not, that's.
and that's with free service for us here at the city?
No, it's not, that's not allowable.
You guys,
So do
my,
we need to make a
That should
motion.
be
my
on
big
there.
problem with this is that they have this other letter in which basically they want total blanket to not comply with a city ordinance, which is our tree ordinance. So that just gives me a little bit of heartburn
What do you mean?
because
Which section is that?
The letter of support?
well, the letter of support, strangely enough, combines that they want a letter of support for a grant, and it says in there, oh, and by the way, we want blanket access to all your right-of-ways without having to consult with the city. This thing says that they have to comply with all of our ordinances, and so we have an ordinance that says if you're going to cut trees in our right-of-way, that you have to check in with John Isidore. So I think they're trying to not have to do that because it's a pain, which I understand, but I have some heartburn about just saying that.
So is that what the letter of support pretty much is for? Is so they don't have to,
Well, I think it's really weird because it has that, it says they just want support for like this grant. And then it says, oh, and by the way, we want blanket access to not have to consult with the city on right of ways.
That's not a letter of
That's
support.
two different, I mean, they're asking
know.
for two different things there.
It's not, I think we should
So,
pull that out of there and support the,
Yeah, but that's a different agenda item, but what I'm saying is it's related to this because,
they just don't want to file right of way requests.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
so, and that concerns me even more than the tree part, because the tree part doesn't concern me as much because Coos Curry Electric already maintains the trees.
Yeah.
On their own,
Right.
and they don't have to come to us for a right-of-way request.
Mhm.
So I can't imagine why broadband would have to cut more trees when they're following the same path as the electric lines that have already been cut.
well, that's what I thought.
underground work
Yeah,
too.
so that's a
And if
part,
they have stipulations of, oh, we don't want little trees 5 feet within our line or 10 feet within our line, then like, I understand that they don't want the hassle of it, but I don't want the hassle of having someone coming in here that they got their.
And they're not
tree cut
liable.
down.
that's
We
the
do
part
less
that
more than
concerns
they're
me
not
the
liable.
most is how they want to use our right-of-ways that way.
And that's not any way clear to know that,
Yeah.
because there's the underground portion of it too, and like you say, they're, it's
I mean,
not even-
basically, you're telling them they could bore a line right under City Hall here.
Right.
I mean,
Well, and I just have to go back to the tree thing. I understand, Tim,
Yeah.
what you're saying. And I thought when we approved this last time that it was going to all be existing lines and whatever. And I got some complaints from citizens about,
Right.
oh, the tree guys showed up and said, oh, we're going to cut down these trees because the new Beacon broadband's going through here. So
Huh.
I can't imagine it would be a lot, but we can't get it. We don't know. And so I would like to,
Yeah.
if we're going to do that, maybe consider putting some sideboards on it. And your points are very well taken too.
Yeah, no, I
So-
agree. Yeah, no, I think we should. I mean, I don't have a problem supporting them for the grant, but giving them full use of our right of ways, which could mean anything and
Anything,
everything
yes.
is a little scary.
That's just the letter, that's the letter of support, not the second reading of the ordinance.
Right.
So
So if the second reading of the ordinance says they have to comply with all of our ordinances. So
Mhm.
that to me seems okay.
Okay.
Unless we wanted to make some like changes.
we've been trying to work on this one since January, obviously, right? It's
Yeah.
01.
Right.
There is one other thing too. This is our letter of support. We can just cross out the language
I
that says
agree.
anything about
The
you
right,
know, and then we accept the letter with
Yep.
changes and we're
Yep.
done.
and
And then they get their support,
Yep.
we get what we
Yep.
want.
they
Yep.
clean up that letter after we redline it and send it in.
Yeah.
And they got a timeline, so they'll be able to make that decision really quickly. and
Yeah,
send it if they want.
So I don't have a problem doing that. I don't know how other counselors feel.
Okay, so we'll read this ordinance by title for the second reading. We'll deal with the letter when we get to the letter.
Got it.
And,
Okay.
What do you guys think? I mean, do you guys feel comfortable with this then, even though we didn't have legal counsel review it, just because it does seem pretty boilerplate and it's what?
I
you
feel
think?
comfortable because our neighbors, Gold Beach and
Yeah.
Brookings, have approved it. But
I think they brought the Brookings contract last time for us to look at.
Yeah, it was. And that's why we were getting a lesser amount and we went to the 5%.
yeah,
That was for the
they
CCE
took,
one.
yeah.
Yeah, that was CCE, but then we went, yeah.
So remember, this one's for profit though, too.
Pardon me?
This is for profit.
Yes, it is.
I mean, so maybe it's completely different and we're not really even looking at it in the right light. That's just not,
You're right. It could be, Brett.
okay, fair enough. What now what? Nothing.
Now we make a motion to deny or accept or table.
It's also a
Then we
10-year
talk
one.
about it.
I thought we made a motion. You said you were going to read it by ordinance. Make a motion to accept ordinance 202401 Beacon Broadband Franchise Agreement.
Second.
Thanks, Tim.
Okay, so I'll read this by title really quick and then we'll have some discussion. Brett, do you remember, I need to read every section, right? Not just the title?
I believe the title only on.
That's-
You,
yeah.
I think you can read the title.
Okay.
It's
That's what we're gonna go with.
on
I'm
a
sorry,
second
Brett, I
reading.
didn't mean to.
No, that's all right.
Brett, Hog, same.
I
difference.
appreciate,
You guys are both long in
the support there.
Information.
Probably got it all wrong, but I mean, you could read it word for word if it made you feel better, Pat, but I think that's when they said read it by title. I think that's what that means.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and read this. In and for the city of Port Orford, state of Oregon, ordinance number 2024-01. And the matter of ordinance 2024-01 and ordinance of the city of Port Orford granting Beacon Broadband Incorporated, its successors and or assigns grantee Port Orford grantee a franchise as described herein for all cable and telecommunication service purposes within the city of Port Orford. The following would be adopted as section 3.24 of the Port Orford Municipal Code. Section 1, grant a franchise. Section 2, emergency repair. Section 3, installation of facilities. Section 4, restoration of facilities. Section 5, construction conflicts to be avoided. Section 6, adjustments to facilities. Section 7, indemnification. Section 8, franchise fee. Section 9, grantee use of poles. Section 10, term. And Section 11, acceptance. So,
So
with
moved.
that by title.
We just,
We got to remember this when we're talking about any pipelines that may go out of Port Orford. This is the pertinent kind of document.
It's gonna be the land
Including
use,
those
so.
bullet
Well,
points.
And one of the
Maybe
things
that.
about franchise, the other thing I did not do, but I kind of wish I had done, but maybe you guys remember, is there are other telecommunications franchises we have in the city. We did one pretty recently, and
Lightspeed.
I seem to remember 5% is sort of was about the going rate. I didn't go back to verify that, but do you guys, does anybody remember that?
I can't remember the exact number on the last one, which was Lightspeed, I believe.
That sounds right. I'm just getting kind of convoluted because of the electric company franchise one where the percentages.
And that was 3% for the electric company.
I believe Zipley and Lightspeed.
Yeah.
Zipley, we went back and increased it and they agreed.
Do you remember what that amount was?
I can't
It was like a
remember.
3 to
That's
5
been a
also.
year and a half. But, I mean, I can't believe, but I guess I shouldn't say that. But I can't believe the CEO would sit here at the table in front of us and tell us that 5% was not their max, was what it was. I think it was a federal max or all they could offer. And they did offer us the highest.
Yeah,
That
you
was-
know, now that you're saying it, there was something that we looked at where it's governed by an ORS
Correct.
that kind of gives the amount. So that gives me a little bit more.
And they told us
Confidence.
we were welcome to take a lesser amount, if you remember correctly.
Mhm.
We all kind of chuckled.
Is that Brent Bishop? Is that who's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she-
Yeah, I have-
she's next.
Can't see him sitting in front of the line to us like that. Yeah.
Not on the record.
Ooh. You just said that.
Here for-
It's actually,
Oh, sorry, yeah.
that's it.
That's what I want to kind of. Okay, so we have a motion on the table. Any other discussion on that? Perry, you got anything?
Nope.
Did somebody actually make the motion or?
Yeah,
I'm
great.
just looking it up right now. I can look up the light speed. I have it on here if you want to just wait 1 second. If that makes anybody feel better. That's a 5-year one, by the way.
So is this, right?
This is a 10-year one.
10 years.
Yeah, I was scanning it there. Seven equals 7%.
Yeah, so light speed is 7%.
Spelled out 7, so you can't see it.
But I wonder, well, I don't know.
And that's not even a legal question.
It's not even a question we can get answered right this second. So that's a problem.
Yeah, because maybe they're different kind of entities
Well,
and they're,
Yeah, I don't know if that has to do with federal monies that were available to provide this service and theirs is just our, I don't know. I can't answer that question.
These public utilities things get a little bit weird too, you know?
Yes,
They get
well,
really weird. And again, this is for profit.
Yeah.
And like that shared identity of Coos Curry Electric, it's not real. It's not shared. It's not, they are not partners. They are separate entities.
separate entities.
And it kind of goes to that tree thing or whatever, like if I can run a line from here to you, Tim, and it costs me $10 and I just mow down 3 trees to do it, or I got to go around your 3 trees and it costs me $20.
Mhm.
The smart business decision would be to mow down the trees, so I think we better be careful with that one.
Yeah, because when Coos Curry Electric put their system in, a lot of trees have grown since then. And so that might need to get cut down for them to access the poles. And so, from what you're saying, it seems like we should be informed about trees getting cut down.
I think that's what people were concerned about.
But we're not saying that right now.
Well, we're kind of conflating different things.
We are.
In this agreement, with regard to trees, they have to follow our ordinance. And our ordinance is that if you're going to cut trees, you should come to the city. And I think the thing is not to be unreasonable about it, but we just all know or have experienced that sometimes whoever's the tree service with the chainsaw decides, oh, well, while I'm here, I'm going to just cut down even more trees. So that's why the idea of some sort of sideboard or,
It's all
You
about
know.
perspective, isn't it?
yeah,
What's a good job?
yeah, exactly.
Or trimming a tree to where it just looks terrible and
Yeah.
It
Well,
reminds me of that
that's what they
situation
do
in Brookings.
oftentimes. I mean, they negate the risk, and if it takes taking a top out of a tree to clear those high power wires, that's how they do it oftentimes.
Yeah, well, but I'm just saying that makes sense. There's sometimes when, somebody does more than what's needed or,
well,
so-
sometimes they straight up almost kill your maple tree or
Yeah.
like mow down your 500-year-old camellia plants and you got to lock Marisa in the house so she doesn't go try to find people. It's like there are issues that arise from doing it.
I wonder what their statement on their mission is for that. What is their goal? What is their directive as far as maintaining someone's got to make a decision, right? It's not like,
Well-
there's gotta be some kind of playbook.
Well, our decision is that people go and talk to John Isidore and then he makes the decision is what our city policy is. And, it's come up in other cases. We have Erin here who's doing, fire risk reduction. And she's kind of asked that same thing of, well, what's the policy in the city? How big, what is a tree? Is it like a little spindly thing that's 2 inches or is it a 6 or 8 inch thing? And so at some point we may want to have greater specificity in our policy. But for this purpose, I think it's two different things. There's the second reading, which we could just go with the flow on it and do it. We could also say we only want it for 5 years. They'll probably be bummed. Or, this says they have to follow our city ordinances.
So we're getting I just want to get this clear. We're getting 5% of the sales to members within the community.
Yep.
And really the target is people who don't have. I mean, that's what the excitement of the service is, right? Is that it's reaching people that don't have that service available to them now.
Right.
Going to cover everybody.
It is, right. And I saw, it looked like they had a deal,
It looks like it's
$50 forever or something.
It looks like it's more expensive though than when I looked up compared to what my service is now, it looks like it's more expensive.
Who are you with? Karen?
Spectrum.
It seems to be way less than mine,
Okay.
but not on a commercial basis, on a residential basis.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
On a commercial basis, it's equal. On a residential basis, it seems to be, you could be right. I think it's $6 more if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I thought it was more, but
It was locked in forever.
I had it
That was
here and
wasn't
I
that-
took it out of my folder.
It was, right? Yeah.
the only reason that's relevant to our decision is, are there going to be that many people in the city who sign up? Maybe people will.
Our
Switch over.
constituents may not benefit very much from this whole endeavor.
Oh, I think.
If it works out and we get the high speed internet, if they can get the speed that they're claiming, then we have the possibility of getting new people in town, like,
Zipley's pretty good, isn't it? No.
But what they're proposing, I think, is so much faster
Are they?
that it's, it'll be appealing for people to come here and be like,
Because
"Oh,
they
I
were
can
selling
work
me,
remotely from
they were
Florida."
selling me 400 something or whatever, and then we ran a speed check on it and it was like 80.
So it's all subjective
No.
though, is because your computer is loaded up with a bunch of junk. If you run it on your
They run
phone,
their
it's
tests.
faster than your computer or vice versa.
It was at the modem or whatever, at their thing when their guy was here. It was Spectrum. This is what I was referring to, one of the new guys. But I thought about it's what appeals to me is that it's a flat rate for the rest of your life.
Yeah, it's a flat rate. And that's not the game you play with Spectrum, at least not the game we play.
No, I
You
got it.
like to up
Yeah.
and down, then you got to call them, why did you raise it? Oh, we can drop it back down. It's just a game.
Yeah, no, it's
And they
terrible.
appear to want to take that game out of it.
I like that.
I like it too, and I hope they can provide what they're saying they provide at, it seems like a somewhat reasonable price to me.
I think the good news about the 5% is that it's just it will be more revenue for the city, even if it's not a lot. It might be a lot, it could be good.
I like the 5-year idea instead of 10.
And so that's to say, what happens in 5 years? The whole thing null and void after 5 years, and we do it again?
We review it in 5. I mean, if you sign up for 5 years, we review it in 5 years. They have to come back in 5 years and bring it back to us,
And that's the rate?
The whole thing.
the whole thing.
The whole thing would be renegotiated.
Well, because like,
They might want to make changes, we might want to make changes
you would think that
instead of 10 years.
you could actually make changes to a contract if both parties agree to it, right? At any time.
If they don't both agree, then.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So
Because maybe after the first 5 years, then we go for 10 after that, but there could be changes because we have complaints or,
since it's new, it would seem like we would want to kind of go short term.
yeah.
So are we all thinking 5? I mean, I think that's a reasonable change. If we're all thinking 5, let's change it to 5.
And can I ask you this, since we already did the first reading and this is the second reading, is that too big of a change to make for a second reading?
Don't have a lawyer.
That's a fairly significant change. I don't.
Don't have a lawyer to look at them.
That's a question I can't answer. I wish I was an attorney, but I'm not. Actually, I don't wish I was. I wish that attorneys have.
I hate to bring this up because it makes me not look very good, but do you guys remember the first reading of this? Because as we're talking about seeing Brookings
January.
It
or.
was the last
what-
meeting.
What's that?
It was the last meeting.
It was last meeting, okay.
Brent was present. I remember he came with two other folks from CE.
Right, no, and they brought us this ordinance. We didn't read it by title. That's what I'm saying. As a council, did we read this? Because this is what they showed us from Brookings. So how could we have read it one time already?
How did we get it to second reading?
Yeah,
That's,
We did it, we passed it because the last one, we cleaned it up. In the packet, it had a whole bunch of errors because it had like Brookings and blah, 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 blah in it, Gold Beach. I mean, it was a bunch of mistakes. I think we had the cleaned up version passed around to us. And then we approved it at the meeting is how I remember it. I mean, we did it, we approved
we
the
did the
first
first
reading.
reading.
You didn't approve, like read it by title like you just did, but we looked at it.
First day of April, second.
18th day.
We could fix the problem. Probably we could change it to 5 years and have a first and second reading again tonight.
Yeah, and the issue is I think they're basically already working in our city, even though we don't have an agreement. So that's kind of,
Oh, they've been working in our city before
Is
they
that-
come and ask to work in our city.
yeah, so that's
Yeah, I know.
kind of
And,
like,
and we got a water pipe that blew underneath their rig.
Oh, did we?
That's down to the port. I mean, remember I talked about that here last
Why I would know what.
time, that when we're gonna do these heavy projects, when we do these locates, we should have,
Been frustrated by that.
But I think they
because things are the way that they are. And
did
we're,
agree to pay for stuff if we build them.
I like the way that sounds, like 16
Melissa
million
just
sound
noticed
good.
an important point on this first, second reading conversation. If you go to page 29 on the first reading and the second reading, the first reading is 3 days after today. So that's one thing we have to change regardless, but for the life of me, I feel like I would remember trying to know, I think I would remember the last time I read this, if I should read the sections by title or not.
you didn't read it by title. We had this in the packet and we
Right.
took a vote on it, but you did not read it by title in that way.
First reading.
So it was in our packet. Okay.
I mean, it was at the meeting. We had it in the packet. The packet version was kind of screwy.
Right.
So-
And then we wanted to have it reviewed by an attorney, right?
Yes, and we
So
did
how
not
could
do
we
that.
do the first reading before we had it reviewed by an attorney?
Well, that was stipulated with,
After attorney review.
I
Okay.
After
believe
attorney
we
review,
did
that's what you
say
said.
that.
You did say
Okay.
so you
That was in the
haven't done
minutes.
that yet.
Yeah.
No, we haven't done it.
The attorney review part.
Yeah.
but we're deciding that we're not going to do that, have the attorney review it. I'm wondering, like Tim had mentioned, we do the first and second reading with 5 years and just do it and get it over with.
But they, I mean, they have to agree to it too. If we change anything, we're negotiating in a way. You know what I mean? Like, we could do that and accept it, but then they would have to rewrite up
And
the
then if they
contract.
accept it, then we're good. If they don't, then
Right.
they come back.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does. I just don't know if it's rude or not to be like, because we were pretty amiable to it and then now.
I don't know if they would rather have it done quicker or if it matters to them, since
So
they've
there's-
already been
yeah.
working.
If the thing looks decent, we don't like it when the police levy comes around in 5 years, and we don't like it when the union agreements come around in 5 years. Maybe, I'm just looking at it from that perspective.
Well, see,
Well, if
early
they're
income,
maxed out, what do we
transfer and
do?
cycle, it comes every year and it's fairly painless.
Right.
You know, it's,
What if in 5 years they come back and they say, okay, we're in a position, we're only gonna offer you 2%? So that could
tell
happen.
them, tell them, take your wires down out of our city. That's what you tell them at 2%.
Yeah, well, no, but that could happen.
It sure could. You could tell them to,
And we can.
no,
say we
remember,
don't
we're in
accept
charge
it.
here. They're asking us.
Yeah, no, I get
We're
it.
not asking them.
I understand completely.
We have got to
Can we rescind my
figure this
motion?
out just because we've got a lot on the table. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can do anything
Rescind
you'd
my
like.
motion for city ordinance 2001.
And I rescind my second, and I would recommend I would recommend that we put it on next month's meeting and give Melissa a chance to get this clarified with,
Look at her face.
I really don't like doing that, but I think there's too many what ifs right now, and we have 5 years, 10 years.
Well, it sounds like should we get a consensus that we would prefer 5 years?
Absolutely.
Do people feel that way? Could we go back and ask Melissa to see if we can get that?
And that we can, in the next meeting, we can do the first and second with the 5 years and they have it done.
Now, do we want to have an attorney review this?
I would,
If we have an attorney on board by then, yes, I would.
Isn't there like an online somebody that you can just shoot a document to and they can look at it for $bucks or something, or?
Maybe not online, but was wondering about like who the port uses or somebody like
Yeah,
that,
that's what
or
I
if
mean.
we could be like, we're in
I'm
a
sure it's
pinch,
going to
because we
cost
do have
hundreds
some
of dollars
relationships
for
with
somebody
them,
to
so
go
maybe
through
like
this
that.
whole thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, they might look at it and just go like,
And then she might be able.
You know, you look at your
Look over it with my
your
coffee.
machine, your saw, your wood cutting thing, and you're like, oh, this is blah, 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 you know, well, that's what they do.
I think that would make everybody feel better.
If an attorney looked at it?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I think I would prefer an attorney looks at it, but I'm okay with 10 years, but I'm not going to buck the system here if everybody wants 5, so.
I just think since it's new,
Pardon me?
since there will be new challenges that perhaps, you know, that we want to be able to address it sooner, maybe even sooner than 5 years, you know?
And one thing that I thought we addressed is that right-of-ways came back to council. I thought we talked about that like 3 or 4 months ago because of, it puts a lot on John. And then Ann said it again, where John gets to decide the right-of-ways. I don't know if we were correct. And I thought that we had talked about that coming back to us again because of some contentious issues.
So here, I just wanted to say, as a
We never
couple
did
minutes
that.
ago,
We never did it. We talked about it.
trees in parks, the park in Brookings, whatever it's called.
Azalea.
Yes, and there was some trees that a forester came in and they were looking a little shabby. And so the forester and they decided the best thing to do was take them down. People freaked out. They didn't know it was taken out. And you don't even think it's a big deal until all of a sudden everybody's freaking out. And I think that they modified their
Stop cutting.
cut list or whatever it was and
Golf courses.
took fewer than what they had decided, but
Well,
people get mad about
when you have a fire right over Hensley Hill, very close to town, I mean,
it. Oh,
are we going to follow our ordinance or are we going to follow defensible space guidelines from the Forest Service?
Well, that's, what I was talking about in the defensible space stuff. But I mean, I don't think everybody wants to just have a yard full of gravel. I mean, there's a reasonable
Oh,
kind of
absolutely.
center, middle ground where you can have trees and
Well, yeah, you
you
cut
know.
your tree, you limb them up to the height they recommend, and then you space them 10 feet apart is what they recommend.
you let big ones stay.
Absolutely. I'm all for that. I have too many trees and I plant too many trees. We've planted 10 trees this last month. Honestly. And then I told my wife, I said, we have 9 trees in our backyard and our backyard's the size of this room. But I love trees. But there are times when trees have to go.
And yeah, so
It needs to be.
that's just why I should have a little oversight.
I'll
Yeah.
hit it up.
So we're,
It's just.
I guess we'll
Yeah,
wait and
we're
see
kind
if
of
these
just,
guys are going.
yeah, it seems like we're kind of hit a brick wall here.
We haven't even got to the stuff
The
yet.
thinking is that we would direct staff to come back with a recommendation or kind of feeling what we've asked for next month. Is
And
that
see how they
accurate?
feel about the 5 years.
I don't
And if
think
they are
they get to.
extremely pressed for time, we could maybe do it quick.
Well, I think that we can allow them to continue to work.
The only question is, if we don't have this contract, and it sounds like John Isidore has gotten called out numerous times, can we not bill them yet? I mean, do we have to pass this so we can start billing them for all of John's work?
So I don't know.
You can't bill people for utility locates.
You can't
don't
bill
get
for
any money
locates.
for
It's
locates.
against the law.
Oh, okay. Well, but they said anytime the city is involved or we have to
Except
use
for a locate. I
city
think.
work. Okay.
Locates are free to every Oregonian. anybody could pick up a phone and call for a locate, and they have to come and locate within
But-
3 days.
But we
But
could
if they
charge
hit
them.
something and our guys go to fix it, that's what they're
Right.
paying for. Or if it's like, it's
Right.
only utility locates that we can't
Yeah.
charge for.
So, yeah, so if they come out and they do a locate, I can't remember how many feet is it?
I want to say plus or minus 5.
I was gonna say 6.
Yeah.
So within 6 feet, if they hit where they put the line, then they're responsible for paying for the
Within
fix.
6,
So
I thought it was like right on there. No, it's 6.
Well,
I
what
think
I'm
it's
trying to
I
say
think
is
it's 3
you
feet
have
on
to
either
give them
side.
6 feet
Yeah.
from that area.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it
they
does.
get a buffer.
Oh.
If you hit anywhere near that line, you're responsible.
So again, with the failures that we've had with some of the heavier equipment, I would think that given the way the things are worded here, you could bill them for John to say, don't park here,
I think probably.
because that's not a locate. That is a result of a locate, right? Say,
But is it
Yeah.
going to take more time to figure all that out than the money?
well, I think that we need to figure that out because if you recall, every single major line break that we've had has occurred in some close proximity to something heavy that's been going on lately. Well, I guess the one on Jackson didn't necessarily have anything. I don't
That
know.
was
but
It's across the street.
That was a blowout on a piece of 20.
terrible, terrible material. Yeah.
Well, and in my opinion, if you have a pipe that you can't drive over with a semi truck or any other regular thing you have on the road, then it's already a failed pipe.
Yeah, but that doesn't do us any good. We can get these guys to pay us to tell them not to park their truck here. And they can park their truck right over there. Remember Pat, how many lines have gone out since the fire over here at
Right.
at the historic, the house that, across from my place there.
So
First
we're
go-around was-
We need to get going on this.
we're not getting anywhere on this
I'm not being
particular
argumentative,
item.
but that was from
So
water.
does everybody, is
Like
there
shutting the hydrants
consensus
down.
that there's 2 ways to do this. One is we can just say
Like, unpack
we're
it
splitting
fast.
too many hairs and we should
Fast,
just
it's too
pass the thing as is. Or the second thing is to do what we were just saying, is ask Melissa to go back and ask for 5 years.
I was happy
And-
with Mr. Tidy's motion, and at this point, since the neighboring cities approved it, I'm okay with it, but I may be
We both.
one guy in the room, and that doesn't even sound like me, because typically I want an attorney to look at it.
So does that mean, is there a first and a second?
Not anymore. They're rescinded.
we
There's
rescinded
nothing on
them.
the table
Okay.
right now.
But if you're trying to get to a consensus as to where we should go with this, tonight or next month,
Do we next month or?
So, if we can do it, so somebody can remake the motion to accept it, or someone can make the motion to table this and, pending more information that we
Make a
need.
motion to table this pending more information.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion on that?
We already said to do the 5, we already told her all this stuff, the 5 years.
Right, we'll reiterate after
That's what I
we
meant by that.
make the decision, but, but now we do need to know. It's the attorney review and the 5-year instead of,
5-year,
And how,
5%
they were 7%,
and light speed,
light speed is, we have 7%,
5
why are
years.
they 5? So is there?
yeah, that.
Yeah.
Just asking a question.
Those 3
The
things,
impression that it was. a
But we have
maximum.
on contract that the other, somebody else says 7, so.
yeah, but it could be 2 different things, and it could be one is federal
Yeah.
monies and one is not.
We're just asking a question.
Exactly. Oh, yeah, right. Clear it up.
And, this all did come to us. Melissa didn't have time to look at it. I did my best to look at it. This is all happening when we're in transition. So
Yep.
that's why we're a little bit.
Yep. And we can't always be expected, people can't just throw something at us and then expect us to immediately approve it. We had that happen with our last city administrator and I hated it. It get put right in front of us that night. You guys need to approve this. Well, has the attorney even looked at it? No.
No,
Mhm.
I'd pretty much vote against anything put in front of me that day.
Right, I agree.
Always said that.
Yep. Okay.
Procrastination on someone's part does not create urgency on my part.
Exactly.
so we good?
Okay, so, and you're clear on those questions for them?
Thank you.
So yes.
Oh, no, I'm just verifying because you left
Yes,
for a minute. So,
I did.
okay,
Nope.
so that's the
Broadband,
motion on
5
the
years,
table.
5% attorney.
I'll call for the vote real quick. Ann,
Yes.
Brett,
Webb, yes.
Tim,
Tim, yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
and Perry.
Yes.
Okay, so now
Rental agreement? Is that what we're going to now?
7B.
That's whole business?
For the jail?
for the people.
No renewal of the A-frame.
Yeah,
Renewal
rental agreement for A-frame.
Oh.
Remember that real quick.
7B.
So I make a motion to accept the rental agreement for Siskiyou School.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a question on that.
I got a few questions.
Then I'll ask.
Okay, so I'm not saying it's good or bad, but I'm going to point it out. I'm not saying which way I lean, but I'm going to point it out. We have a park host in the park that we provide a space to for some duties that that person does. We pay their water and sewer, but,
And electric.
oh, we do pay the electric too. Okay. Okay, this person is renting this building for $120 a month. I guarantee you their electric bill is probably more than $120 a month.
She's in it for 4 days out of the week, and she's in it for 3 to 4 hours.
Is she running electric heat?
Not really. I go there a lot. I play the disc golf course a lot, and I see all of them, and they're really not inside the building too much. If it's sunny outside, they're outside exploring.
Do we not have a meter on it?
Do we know what the costs are? That was,
That was something we had talked, yeah, something we had talked about was if it didn't increase over that 120, or as long as we weren't spending more money. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But also, we were gonna be spending that money regardless, just for daily service hookup for water
Well, I
and
agree.
electric. Well, I'm just saying, you're just having a daily service. So there in itself, she's well over the 120, that's covering the daily service fee. Then we had asked Dina and everyone else, but there was a lot of turnaround this last year, you know what I mean? To see, but I guess that might not have.
And we're paying to clean it as well.
It's not, it's
No,
not sustainable.
she cleans that part.
She
The
cleans all that
A-frame is
stuff.
not in the cleaning.
Okay,
She
well, it
still-
says here in this contract, and cost to clean,
Mhm.
not accounting for utilities and cost to clean. So that means I just assumed we were paying somebody to clean it.
I had never put her.
Oh, and at its own cost, provide regular cleaning.
Yeah, she's.
Okay.
No, that reads it like the city's gonna do it.
That's the way I
In
read
the
it.
way I read it.
Right?
Yes.
I'm looking-
Possession, section 2, last.
I'm looking at fiscal impact.
Oh, I was looking at,
Renting the A-frame generates 120 a month, 1440 a year for the city, not accounting for utilities and cost to clean. So I'm assuming we're paying the utilities and we're paying the cost to clean. Whether it's happening or not, I don't know.
then I was looking at section 2 where it says, however, the city will continue to pay all utilities, including electricity, water and sewage, and its own cost to provide for cleaning of the building. So it reiterates what you said
Okay.
so much that I thought I was looking at what you were
And
looking
if you
at.
look at the motions too, it's what they follow the amendments too, and there's one of them is, for janitorial services with the following amendment. If you look at the motions on the first page, second one down,
Mhm.
it says motion to approve rental agreement with Siskiyou School for janitorial services with the following amendments, same amendments. So obviously we had put that in there for a reason.
Mhm.
In our thing that we're going through tonight for the, renewal of the contract, is that in there?
Mhm.
Does it say A-frame on the contract?
I didn't understand that janitorial services part of things.
It almost sounds like they want to bill us to be in the,
Well, that's what I'm saying. They don't want to. No. This is
no,
us.
but that,
and
the
them.
way it's written, additionally,
It does say A-frame in the first paragraph. Or on the recitals, I mean.
Siskiyou School for janitorial services with the following amendment.
Well, can we just strike that out in the
I
motion?
don't understand the janitorial because that's in the,
That's a weird thing too.
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
I know for a fact she cleans her own place.
She does.
Spotless.
she does
It's
because
really
it's
nice.
I'm
not,
sure it is. It's just things that were in here
No,
that
I totally understand.
I wanted to point out.
And it's weird that it's in the motions too, because there's
Yeah.
obviously
Yeah.
that for janitorial services with the following amendments.
It's not in the janitorial services.
Yeah, it's not in the janitorial services. So that's,
So let's definitely take that out of. the
yeah, I would
contract.
take,
so I didn't approve that as the motion. Those are just mock motions, if you will.
Yeah. Right.
what if somebody rents it on Tuesday or Thursday? Like, how does that
They go through the Parks
convolute
Department.
this, huh?
They go through the Parks Department. It's $25 and she's completely fine to do all that.
Yeah, I
No,
remember.
I just
clearly.
meant how it pertains to this, and we're talking about the costs and all that. Like, if was ever a third party, I don't think it messes with this. We would just have to write the other
So
one.
she's okay with it being rented out for, birthday parties and stuff like that.
Because we did discuss that.
Yeah. And
Originally.
and I've used it a couple times for when I use my events. I go in there and use it. We have no problems. Also the cross-country event and everyone else that, anyone who comes to the park is able to use it, so. For an event.
I just think of what it costs me to have water in my own.
Well, you already gotta have that water at your house.
Obviously,
Obviously,
that's like a girlfriend moving in and saying, you ain't giving me nothing because you're already buying water, or you see what I'm saying? So there's value there.
and that's why she's paying.
There's value there.
That's why
Children
she's
to wash
paying.
their hands.
It's not a profit school. It's all volume.
We are not, I don't think we're charged with choosing. We have to fiscally, we have to be responsible. If this costs us more than $120, we can't let it go for $120. It's just, it's that simple to me. I mean,
I understand that.
and I don't think we have a good handle on what it actually costs. That would be something that would be cool. It sounds, look, I think there's great what's going on there. She's a great tenant, all that stuff. I've heard nothing but good.
It costs the
But
base rate.
also,
I'm almost
we need to
100%
be able to
sure.
have users.
But we're going to
users
end
need
up
to pay for what
paying
they
for
use.
that.
So
Regardless if they're
if we
in there or
deny
not.
that, we're
Right.
gonna end up
Correct.
paying for the base rate out of the city itself without her 120. And then also the electric, we're gonna be paying the base rate.
Which I don't know that. Does
Well,
she
why
know?
wouldn't we? It's a city building. We have to have water and
Are we-
electric.
Is she gonna leave if we say that we gotta get another $50? If we say, look, it's pretty reasonable to say that you're actually we've tried to narrow this down, and we think that you're costing us about $200 a month. Just throwing it out there. And it would be reasonable to try to recoup those costs from that user. And if that user is gonna leave over something that's reasonable, then maybe we don't want that user.
I'm not answering for her. You know,
So-
like, I'm not answering for her. I'm just
Right,
saying.
right. No, I mean, like, maybe there's a balance, but does that upset, upset her apple cart? I don't know. Maybe she's got to charge another $5 per child or something because inflation's out there. This doesn't reflect any of the double-digit inflation that we've seen over the last year.
Well, the water
So the
rate.
fix would be
electricity
to
rate.
say, however, the city will continue to pay base rate for all utilities, because I'm pretty damn sure they're not doing anything to go over the base rate. You know what I mean? You have 2,000 gallons. I doubt they're
She's
using
not-
that.
she's not using that.
They don't have any like heavy equipment that they're gonna get a demand charge on. And I see what you're saying. I'm just saying.
I agree, you have to break even.
One of the things that when we look at our strategic business plans and things like that, they always indicate that you've got to recoup the cost from the user. And there's things that there's feel good things that you want to feel good about, and a little kid's school feels good. Feels good to me.
Well, but I mean, I totally agree that we have to be fiscally responsible. And so it would be very useful to know what those costs were. And it sounds like if we had the base cost of electric and water, if we know what that is, there is really no electric base. That would be good. But this is also, we want to contribute to our kids. And so
That-
this is a real easy
that's-
way to do it.
That's the
Because-
conversation we had
But if
last time, which it was a super needed service and we thought it would be good to have somebody in that A-frame on a more regular basis.
Yeah, it's a benefit to keep it warm and people using it so that it doesn't become.
So if we say the city will
I wanna move in. I wanna
continue to
move in.
pay base rates of all utilities, we don't have to determine a number. We just need to make sure we're not paying over the base rate and that it goes to them if it's over the base rate.
We just have to recoup our costs.
The electricity
bleeding.
costs, do we want to try to recoup the electricity?
We're going belly up. We're going belly up.
So maybe I'm not conveying what I'm trying to say. They're using a certain amount. There's a base rate that you pay up to a certain amount of water. If we say that we will cover the base rate, well, maybe that's what you're trying to say. But I'm just saying, we know the base rates of the water and the sewer.
What about the electricity?
That, once again, there's a base rate to it. And you guys are probably right, because even just ballparking the water and the sewer for base rate is $80, right?
Yeah. Wow.
And you know that the base rate for electricity is 40, so
I think it's-
it is very
It actually,
possible.
so,
that we're-
so to get back to where Brett's coming from, yes, inflation, we just had an electric increase on our base rate and our
5%.
kilowatt charge.
I saw it.
So that's, that's the only thing. I don't know.
Well, like what Ann said, I think identifying what those costs are would be the first.
Well, there should be a meter, I would guess. I don't know if it goes directly to that building or
It does.
it's the lights at the pickleball court
No, there's a
included
meter-
or
there's a
what.
meter there.
Is it just that building, Greg?
Yeah, there's a meter on the outside.
So,
there
so
we
could I say with this, because I think what this was one that was just taken from before and moved forward with, because of the lawyer situation, that we needed the verbiage of what it was and just left everything the same, that I can look into this to say how much is the base rate for water, how much is the base rate for sewer, how much has been used on electric, to find out what our capital outlay is, and then come back with that number.
They wanted the community building first, right?
No, it's always been that building because they want to be in the park.
That was that other person who wanted to take over the community building. Yeah.
They've always wanted to
But
be.
that was cool too, right?
Yeah.
So we rejected that one.
They were taking it over.
That was a totally different.
That was completely taking it over, changing the floor plan, doing everything.
Oh,
Bathrooms,
yeah. They
everything.
just want like 4 days a week, same thing.
No, they wanted to add a
but what-
bathroom and section it off and make it where it wasn't useful by the community from what I remember. They wanted to add, walls.
What's up, Mayor? What do you want me to do? Do you want me to rescind my motion? What would you rather me do?
You got a second on it,
I
right?
do have a second. Yep.
So yeah, it's either call for the vote or rescind it.
Call for the vote, I guess.
And that was to approve as is.
As is. If it doesn't pass, then.
Okay, I'll call for the vote on this. Then Counselor Rask,
No.
Counselor Velisis,
Yes.
Counselor Webb,
Web, no.
Counselor Pogwitz.
Tim, yes, I see the value in it, but
It's just
Counselor Burns
it's a tough situation.
1 month.
Yes, Burns, yes.
and Counselor Tidy.
No. 3-3 tie.
That's your-
Oh, no problem on that one. Yeah. Just because we have to know those numbers and
That was the
after
only reason
listening
why.
to what
I
Brett was
support
trying
Sierra.
to say
I
is.
love the school, but I understand what the mayor wanted to do, so I wanted to make sure the mayor.
Yeah, we just wanted to start the
Yeah,
conversation.
that's it.
So I
Yeah,
need to
that's-
find, so then you need me to research that to find out what the costs are.
Well,
Yeah,
but-
we get all those electric meters that are all stapled together that we've
Yeah,
all
yeah, I
signed
have
the
to sign
check for.
1,000 of them.
It's one of those.
Right.
Good luck.
No,
No,
actually,
but-
it has you can go to the A-frame, look at the meter number, and then coincide that with that bill, and you'll know
You
exactly.
can call the electric company too and say, can I get a printout for last year's A-frame meter number? They'll know in office.
Actually,
which
if you got
one
2
it is.
years, you could see what it was and what it is.
Right. So yeah, get a couple years. That won't be a problem for them. We obviously have the reporting for the water, so we can see those differences, divide them by 12, and that should give us a close enough.
Yeah, and
Because I think it is a lot closer than I thought at first.
if you talk to
When I
her, just
remember
assure her that we're, I love that. I love what's going on there.
And it doesn't hurt her. It's not like she has to be, kicked out for a month because we didn't.
She's not
make the
getting kicked
decision.
out.
No, she's not getting kicked
No one's being.
I don't think anybody's wants to kick her out.
No.
I don't know. Okay, so
All right.
But be careful with the argument that we're winners because we're giving someone a place for free. Because 4 days a week, I'll move in 7 days a week.
I pay 130?
Yeah, no, I'm serious. Just,
gotcha. Okay, well, we are at 7:30. Melissa has gotta go.
I need to get.
I gotta go
Yeah.
at 7:30 this time too. What, I'm sorry,
I'll need a motion to continue, but we have two people that have been waiting an hour and a half to present.
Oh,
or,
yeah.
Excuse me, 2 hours to present. So,
Let's do this.
so we said no on that. We're moving on that with direct. So the next is going to be, did we move the Curry Soil and Water to A?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so this is Curry Soil and Water Drinking Source Area Scope of Work for 2024. Aaron, thank you for your patience. Come on up.
Okay, that's all we have here.
Excuse me for 1 second.
You got it. I'll take notes.
Well, should I, can I?
Can I give everybody a card?
Yeah,
Thank you. Sorry.
Don't.
Hi, nice to see you.
It's free plan. Not your fault.
Pretty Wilson.
Let's get smooshy. Smooshy.
So-
Yep.
okay.
Fire away.
Okay, hi. My name's Erin Minster. You need my address? Is that how this goes?
Sure, yeah.
Yes. PO Box 792 in Gold Beach, Oregon, 97444. Yeah, so we have an IGA with the city to assist with gorse control in the drinking water source area. And in part of that agreement, I am to submit a scope of work to you annually to let you know what we think we're going to get done this year. The funding for, so I line it out in the scope of work. And some of the funding is from the city. They have a source water protection grant that there was stewardship money that came along when the Wilson parcel was bought. So that's where some of that would come from. And then some of it is money that we can bring through other grants as well. So so it's lined out there. I think the biggest thing to hear from you guys about is the use of herbicide in there. The Sorensen parcel has a conservation easement where you cannot. So we are doing manual work in there. The rest of your city-owned properties do not have that same thing. And according to your forest management plan that you adopted, I guess last year, that was put together when you purchased the Wilson parcel, there needs to be explicit permission from the city council for herbicide application. And I would just like to say that I know that that can be scary and there's not always a lot of support for that. But what I'd like to say is that, we are very targeted with it. We only use what we need to. We try to do reduced risk practices. So if we can reduce the vegetation mass first through cutting or mulching, we do that. A lot of what you guys have in those other parcels is not really big stuff. It's kind of shaded out at this point, but it's lingering along some of the roads and there's some patches. So often we can do like a cut stump type application where you cut it and just do the stump. So that lessens the amount as well. It's all done by licensed applicators, follow the label. We use aquatically safe, even though we're not going to be anywhere near active waterways. So, all the rules are being followed. It's just very difficult to eradicate it without. Basically, you find yourselves in the position that we're in currently where short bursts happen of activity and then you go away and then you're just right back to the same place. So that's kind of my comments on that, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Well, I would just to start this, I'm going to make a motion to approve this scope of work that Erin has presented.
I'll second that.
Okay.
But if the worst case scenario, something happens bad, by accepting this, does that put the liability on us, or because you're your own entity, it's not?
It would be, so like in the case of like we did the wrong thing.
Yeah, just worst case.
Nope, that would be on us. Certainly, the label is the law. So if it was found that we didn't do something according to the herbicide label, that would be on us. Yeah.
I'm just doing the covering my.
Yeah, sure.
Because we're, accepting something, but all it is it states in the agreement that you need express permission, and we're not circumventing or anything or tweaking it a little bit. We're just saying yes,
Right.
for this application.
Yeah, and some of the other IGAs I have, and as not being a lawyer, I don't know why, but often those agreements ask for a certificate of insurance that lists would list you as an additional insured on our policy.
Yeah.
We do that a lot. So,
Well, we did the agreement, the IGA, we already have that. When we had John Huddle here, he reviewed it. That was agreed to already. With that IGA, we have to look at your scope of work every year. That's what we have to approve. There is nothing in the IGA about chemical use per se, but that is in our forest management plan. So we have to follow that, and that's where we just have to approve it as a city council. The reason I really feel good about this is because even though, I don't love the idea of using herbicide, but we have to do something about our gorse because of fire risk. And if we don't control our gorse, we have a worse problem on our hands. And I know from personal experience of working with Soil and Water Conservation District and watershed people that they're really careful and good about how they deal with this issue. So that gives me a lot of confidence.
So the technical assistance activities that are not yet funded, how are they going to be funded?
That's in my, if you recall, I have brought up in my watershed liaison report that we are probably about to get a $100,000. It's a loan that will very likely be 100% forgivable. We can't really say that yet.
Okay.
Like literally, it's supposed to be announced this month.
Okay.
Weird thought. And then I will have to come back to council and get a revenue authority from you all, as well as a lawyer letter, if we have a lawyer, to move forward with getting that money. So that's this thing about dealing with the culvert, the failing culvert, and that's what we've been talking about. So that's where that money will come from to pay for Erin to be our project manager for that. And she.
For the culvert too?
What?
For the culvert too?
For planning to get rid of the culvert. And we had a preliminary conversation with Marlin last week about that and coordinating with the city engineer. That 100,000 would pay for all of the planning, and then we have to go back and get a grant.
So the not yet funded is covered by that $100,000.
Yes, that's what it would be, is that 100,000.
Okay.
And if it doesn't come through, then it won't happen.
No, but I think so. I've matched my time at this point, right? I've used our other funds to help them with that application and think. So I think that the culvert needs dealt with, and so I think I could say that my office would probably help continue to search for additional. We would try again.
We
But
understand.
yeah.
Thank you
So
so
we-
much.
We got a grant. Some people helped to get that grant to even put this grant in.
Yeah.
But when we went out last week, I mean, it's like the bottom of the culverts just, I mean, it's pretty bad.
How big is that culvert? 24 inches?
It's
It's like it's 36 at
It's-
least.
it's
and I
at
think it
least
might be
36,
48.
yeah.
I think it's 48.
I
Yeah,
think
I
you're
think
right.
it
It's
is.
squished.
It's big, but
Yeah.
it's really squished, and even the bottom is kind of buckling now.
Does it need to be?
That brings back some fun story. but-
Yeah, if it was any smaller, it would have plugged a long time ago. Yeah.
Okay. That answers my question.
Yep.
Okay, any other discussion on that?
Sounds like you got it handled.
All right, I'll call for the vote then. Counselor Webb,
Webb, yes.
Counselor Rask,
Yes.
Counselor Velisis,
Yes.
Counselor Burns,
Yes.
Counselor Tidy,
Yes.
and Counselor Pogwitz.
Tim, yes.
All right. Thank you very much for coming down, and thank you for
Thanks,
your
Eric.
patience.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming, Erin.
All right, now we're going to new business B, Port Orford Jail Historic Site Status. Thank you for your patience, Mr. Cook. I know the feeling, sir.
Or did you just remember why you shouldn't have come? There you go.
My name is Rick Cook, and I'm chairman of the Port Orford Historic Preservation Commission. And the Port Orford Preservation Commission would like to nominate the Old City Jail on 7th Street to the National Historic Register. What what we're doing, we're hoping to partner in the future with Main Street and do some restoration on the building. But for now, it's simply the nomination. And because the city owns the property, I need the owner's permission to pursue the nomination process. That doesn't mean it will be put on the National Historic Register. That's up to the state and the feds. They make the decision, but you guys make the decision that I can pursue or the Historic Preservation Commission can pursue.
I would make a motion to pursue that.
I'll second that.
And it won't cost the city anything.
Well,
Well, I was going to say, the only question I have is about the cost of the city to maintain the facility. So like if it, and I did a little bit of research into this.
I'm sorry, but
Yeah, go ahead.
who made that second?
I did.
Okay, so I'm taking
Yeah,
notes
got
in
it.
case
Sorry about
she
that,
needs
Pat.
them, so. But go ahead now. I just didn't want to.
Yeah, just was wondering about, what is the cost of the city to do this? Not to say it's not a good idea, but just so we understand. 'Cause
Well, at
here on
this point in time, there's
main-
zero cost.
Yeah.
Because the city's not doing a damn thing with it. They're letting it rot in the ground.
Right.
And it's been volunteers. The bars were replaced, to my understanding, by volunteers. The church group put the roof on, and that's the way it's been so far. We'll look for, this is one of the advantages of being on the National Historic Registry, is we can go out and get grants for the restoration. And probably there will be maintenance in the end if you want to keep the place up. And I believe we'll be able to get federal grants and state grants, historic grants for like they would any historic building that belongs to the city for maintenance.
Right.
Another avenue to bring resources to town.
Right. It's like, if you think our jail doesn't meet look at the back page and there's.
Yeah, that's only half of them.
Well, and not to mention the fact, like, it rang home with me that there was a group that put a roof on.
Yeah.
There's a group that put the bars on because there's always people that have been interested. I really miss the mannequin that used to be in there because it kind of scared you every time you get there.
Well, I think we should do that. I think when we get down to that stage of restoration and all that, I'd like to restore one of the cells. The toilets are still in
And it's
there.
right across the street from Battle Rock too, which is our main, one of our
I
main.
think it literally made me hate marionettes. But I have a little bit of a fear.
I think it's a great project.
Yeah, so, okay, so the motion on the table was, like, I need a little more clarification
So
on that.
my
The
motion
motion was
was
to
to-
support the
Here it is.
historical committee in their pursuit.
Here it is right there.
Continue the paperwork. It says right
Oh,
there.
you're taking notes?
No, it's a written, Melissa wrote out the main
Motion's
motion.
already written
Okay.
I move, I'm not going down. I'm not in.
Yeah, I know, I was,
I move to approve destination status.
There you go. Keep reading.
It's new designation status.
Yeah,
I
we're,
move to approve the pursuit of designation status. Did I say that right?
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, because I can't grant it, right?
Approve the pursuit,
Pursuit or,
of designation
Yeah,
status.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
yes.
yeah, or support.
To allow the
Allow board of residents to continue their paperwork, yeah. So that is,
You're gonna say it?
well,
We're working through it.
okay, so I move to approve the continued pursuit of designation status of the Port Orford Jail to allow the Port Orford Historic Preservation Society to continue the paperwork.
After that.
Commission. Second, we're not a society.
There we go. Got it.
You said
A
society,
commission.
but it's a commission, yeah.
You said
It
society.
said society in
I
the.
read society.
Yeah, he didn't say
Yeah,
society.
yeah.
Yeah, it says.
I read society.
It's okay. We got our first.
Okay, so that motion is clear. I will call for the vote. Counselor Velisis?
Yes.
Counselor Rask?
Yes.
Counselor Webb?
Webb, yes.
Counselor Burns?
Yes.
Counselor Pog?
Kim, yes.
And Counselor Tidy?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks,
All right.
Tim.
Thanks
Okay,
so
you
much,
guys
Rick.
See Tim
informed
on
of
the
our
football team.
process.
Get lost in the way. Saying Pog on the back of it.
Thank you, Rick.
A few blocks.
Thanks, Rick.
Thanks, Rick.
What's the name in high school? And it just got short of
Okay, thank you, Rick. That was good. I didn't have to wait too long once we started rolling. You can stay for the rest of the meeting if you like. Thank you, Rick, for doing that. It is very important.
I would like to mention that Mr. Steve Lawton and his neighbor painted the gel as well a few years back, so.
Okay, next we got new business B,
We have to make
renewal.
the motion to continue.
I gotta
Meeting?
go. I gotta go.
I'll make a motion to continue the meeting.
I'll second it.
Call for the vote. Counselor Rask,
Yes.
Counselor Belisis,
Yes.
Counselor Webb.
Do I vote on something that I'm leaving? I mean, like I'm voting, so you guys gotta stay here? Okay. Yes.
Whoa, whoa.
Yeah. By the way, I'm leaving.
Hogwarts? Yeah, I guess that's true.
It is weird, right? I think that's what he's pointing out. This is pretty scary.
It's the
You
first
guys are
time he's
staying.
voted yes.
You guys are staying.
Yeah, it's the first yes vote.
You see, you're feeling very powerful.
Yeah. Anyway,
Making us stay.
Counselor Hogwarts.
Tim, yes, I'll go along with this
Yes.
madness.
No,
Okay, motion passes 5
5 to 1.
Yeah, motion passes. Okay, because there is some important stuff. This janitorial contract, there's a lot of questions on this in my mind. It's,
Same person.
And has it gone out to bid?
no, it has not. This would just be a contract renewal.
I think we should probably.
You gotta go?
I do. I don't feel like I see things as. How do you say that? And still get dinners served to you. You know, how do you say this soup is terrible?
Just, you
And
want to
get dinner
make sure
tomorrow.
that we're getting the same quality of service that we got previously for less money.
I think that's it. I think that might be it.
I might not get dinner, but
Yeah,
that's
you know
one
what,
way to
like-
say it.
So what do we want to do?
Well, once again, it's a contract. We should have this reviewed as well, even though it's the same contract, because they do want to make some changes too with the different employee and
Oh, it is a different employee?
well, they want to have the capacity to bring another employee in.
But that's not going to cost us more money. It's just going to.
No, it shouldn't. The contract.
No, it's contract. Yeah, exactly. She has insurance. Yeah. But
that is,
I don't see a problem with her bringing in an extra employee to help. her
if they
out.
have a background check.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Of course.
But that, it's like we got to make sure that that is explicitly defined.
Is that
Page 32.
That does me no good when everything is out of order.
How does it happen? It's just like everything gets out of order, no matter how hard you try. That happened to me too.
I'm in order.
We've been bouncing around.
It looks bad too, even though you're always going to go to the paper that you're on. You know what I mean?
Here it is. You guys who were here before, like, it sounds like I'm getting the drift. You think that this is not as good of a service as we've had in the past? Is that
I
what
think
the
she,
drift is?
I don't know.
I don't really know. I haven't seen. I'm just trying to understand.
Other than the hallway being sticky, that was the only thing that,
That was something that we ordered. We didn't order the right stuff when she.
yeah, the cities, we end up ordering all of the materials, so that was the only issue that I knew about.
Yeah, no, there was little things, yeah, but nothing.
But all in all, there were no complaints.
The bathroom, everything's looked really good here. You know what I mean? I'm not, yeah, you're naying, but everything's looked great. Battle Rock's gotten picked up a lot. You know, they go to Battle Rock, they go, don't do Buffington. The Buffington Post does that.
This is a huge amount of work, by the way.
It's a ton of work.
I'm looking at this and
A lot of this is daily.
This does include Buffington.
Oh, yeah.
It does include Buffington. No, it is a lot of work.
She does the bathrooms in Buffington. She does just the bathroom. She doesn't do the apron.
It's a lot of work. It's 95 hours a month.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, but if you divide that cost by 95, it's $35 an hour. Not, like, it's more than just a wage. And so even with the wage, you can fatten that up to $20 an hour, which is way overkill, which leaves $15 an hour.
That's also, she has
Or-
insurances, she's bonded, licensed, insured, you know what I mean? It's her
But can
business.
you justify it with the math to know that that $35 is fair? Because I'm just doing my bar table napkin of, $12.50, call it 20, which is way overkill. That leaves $15. So you add, 95 times 15 is like $1,000 a month with this $12,000 a year for cleaning materials. And I'm not saying it's not totally worth it. I'm just saying I'm just saying that $12,000 a year in cleaning materials is a lot, but I'm not counting the insurance and I'm probably not,
How could
shipping
it
all
be
the.
$12,000 a year in cleaning materials? I mean, that sounds insane.
And that, but like I say, that's my bar napkin math. But if you take that, if you subtract 95 hours by that amount, it's $35 an hour. So you subtract the wage, which I believe was $11.50. Like was what the base rate for that. But that's not how the math works out.
And we provide supplies, correct?
What's that?
We provide the supplies.
Well, then why? I thought she asked for a raise for supplies.
Maybe I'm wrong about that. I mean,
No, it said that we supply and equipment and most of the equipment.
So that's over the 30,000, and we're paying her 29,000, and then
Right,
the
right.
supplies are over that.
See, and I personally, it's like, if you're a contractor, you come to work with your tool belt. It's kind of the price of doing business.
So, gosh, I hate to be the guy that picks things apart.
It's gonna be a-
Well, it's right here. I'm reading this. So it says, I'm reading under the renewal janitorial agreement memo. I'm reading the second paragraph, facts. These are staff concerns.
They would like to add those to her weekly stuff.
Okay. And that makes sense because I thought it said she cleaned the windows once a week and I walked up to there's 2 swinging doors and I've never seen them as dirty as they are ever. And I'm not saying that was even part of her job
They
because it sounds like they want to add that.
Right. So it hasn't been cleaned.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. And she's
Yeah.
added to the.
Yeah.
It says she wants to add things too, which we don't know what they are. But the motion here is just giving Melissa the authority to negotiate it.
We can negotiate the contract. Yeah, we are not approving a contract, we're in negotiation.
Yeah. And I'm comfortable allowing staff to do that personally.
Yeah,
That's
I think
their job.
I think that makes sense. So we could just give her the authority to negotiate it. And if we have any concerns or questions, we could highlight them for Melissa.
Since it is a money thing though, I think she can negotiate, but she still has to bring it to us.
Yeah, that's what it
Okay.
sounds like,
If
right?
it's over.
10,000.
Under, she doesn't have to, right?
But here's the question, does this have to go to bid again? Because this is over 10,000?
29,000, you know what I mean? From
Right.
us. And then if she goes under that, then we would have to. If she goes over, then we obviously. She's able to negotiate somehow $500 less. You know what I mean?
I didn't notice the 95 hours a month.
I didn't either, Pat. Where's that from?
I saw that. I was just looking for that earlier, and I think it might have been on the old contract. I was just looking at it with Melissa this morning.
Because I was looking at everything that had to be done and it seemed like, just, it's not a $20 an hour type job if you're like having to organize all that.
Well, and the other thing is,
I don't know that $35 an hour that seems awfully high, but,
She has to do a lot of work. It's a ton of different buildings every day.
yeah.
I mean, it really is.
And
It's a
to
full-time
keep
job.
track of what's twice a month.
95 hours a
what's
month
once a
is not a
week.
full-time job. I'm just saying,
No,
it's like, it's not even
160.
close. I'm not arguing with you. It's the numbers of it that I'm trying to verify.
but it'd be hard to kind of piece together, put in another job. I mean, I guess I don't know if she has other cleaning jobs. I don't know how.
Well, and I'm not, I mean,
Because it'd be good to know maybe how many hours she takes to do all of this.
Well, and that's why I'm bummed. I saw that paper on Melissa's desk. I think it was the old contract we were looking at. It was like the last, page of it. This is based on 95 hours, and I didn't mean to convolute anything.
Well, I mean,
And it's like, I'd love to see the insurance bond and everything, but that's part of something administrative, probably the checklist, and it's not anything that isn't an automatic deal breaker anyways, if it wasn't there, but. And how much more do because we were paying like $1,800 a month before, right, Tim? And it jumped to, whatever it was, there was a significant jump when this
it was a
came
good
to be
jump.
because of the bonding.
Yeah, and everybody agreed that it was an awful lot of work at the time, but that doesn't mean, I'm looking at this. This falls right up the list. This is a lot of work. I don't
Exactly what we decided the last time we did this last year.
Yeah.
She was new.
Yeah.
And she took over for somebody who'd been doing it for a while. And we didn't really realize how much they actually did do.
Yeah, because it was,
And we're actually
Ryder,
doing
right?
more. Not $600 more a month more, you know what I mean? Just that little bit of stuff that it is.
Was it Greg Ryder last time?
It was
Yeah.
great last time.
She even does the carpets once a year.
Yeah, I have to say, when I first saw how expensive this was, I kind of thought, gee whiz, that's a lot of money. And,
No, I thought exactly the same.
shouldn't we just like take care of this building? Shouldn't staff be able to
It has
just
to be licensed,
do it?
audited, insured to do all the buildings. It's not just
But-
this building.
No, I know, that's why. But what I'm saying is then I came to realize this is a lot of work and that
Staff can't.
it's a benefit to,
Staff
Well, that's what it says right in the front of this. It's such a benefit to staff.
yeah.
Right in the very front.
It's huge
Yeah.
benefit to staff, and maybe when we didn't have quite as many leaks and that kind of thing, Public Works could have taken on some of this, but
Yeah.
I don't think they've ever been in a position where they could have come in and done City Hall or anything like that. It's like pulling teeth to get the lawn mowed
Well,
in
they're
the
actually-
spring because they're so busy.
They're actually asking them to do like the visitor center stuff that Public Works can't do, or is this falling behind on right now.
Right.
That's one of the things they're asking them to do is weekly filling up the toilet paper, filling up all that stuff. They've taken off a little bit of stuff from our Public Works guys.
Yeah.
But the guys go empty all the trash at Battle Rock every morning, and this says that this contract says that they do it twice a day, and they do not. Our guys go and empty the garbage.
Yeah.
As far as I know, I'm just like going through the fine
I know they,
tooth stuff here, and it's like, well, this is a lot of work, but is all this work happening?
I don't know.
That
I don't know, but I do know for a fact, you're correct, that I know Public Works used to go there. That was one of their first stops in the morning was to dump the Battle Rock garbage.
But yeah, but like twice daily, June through September to, and I'm not saying that she's not doing all of
I remember
it
that.
at all. I'm like, just to clarify,
It was seasonal for that. It was just that, twice daily because it was filling up,
And one of the things that will be a benefit now is we will have Melissa to kind of
regular.
Oversight, yeah.
Oversight. She'll be able to, we can just say, we'd like to check up on it. If that is a part of the concern about it, just to make sure.
Yeah, that's the due diligence part of it, not like, just.
Make sure it's getting done.
Well, the beauty of the contract worker is you don't pay, PERS, healthcare, all of that kind of
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
But still 29,000 is it's half or better of a wage of an employee.
Yeah, it's quite high.
It's up there. But I think if you start looking into janitorial contracts, I think they are probably
can't even find
higher than we imagine.
Yeah.
Can't even find a lawyer right now.
Right.
So, I'm just-
Well, and that's another huge concern when we start talking about these things is, yeah, if we've got somebody and they're doing a good job and that kind of thing, but I don't know what the oversight's like, but now that we have somebody, we could probably get better than we
This
have
is just-
been.
This is the negotiated contract.
Yeah.
Because, having somebody in place to do it is something. And it's kind of like, when they talk about people who work at McDonald's and then they want them only to work from like 9 to 10 and then like 4 to 5 later in the day. And how can anybody do a job? Because you can't do another job if you've got to clean the bathrooms twice a day. And so, there is something.
Well,
about
so cleaners are, you know, there's some cleaners that could take this list and it would take them 2 months to do it. And then there's some cleaners that are just focused cleaners and they're in boom, 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 and they do a good job. I don't know how, it's a mental thing, I think, and, you know, they go at it and they whip it out.
I think you're right, Tim.
So, and it sounds like this
We
person.
need to know, excuse me, I think we need to know what is happening and if everybody that is the recipient of the cleaning service is happy with it before we make
I
a
agree.
decision.
Good comments, Perry.
Thanks.
Well, it sounds like that all we have on that is these staff concerns. And the staff concerns that are listed are things that they want a few more things done. So that's
But those are only for City Hall. I mean, there's other spaces as well that she cleans and we don't know, you know, if they're clean.
do you know, Greg, do you have any insight about parks from like Buffington Park bathrooms? Are they clean? Are they kept clean?
Yeah, I know for sure that they get cleaned, you know what I mean? And they are pretty respectable. I haven't heard any complaints unless people destroy the, you know, bathroom itself.
Well, yeah, that's not their fault. They could have
Yeah,
a completely.
But besides, but between her and the park host, they keep that.
How about the visitor center in Battle Rock?
That seems pretty clean lately too. I haven't seen any trash. I go down there a lot. I go down there at least
Yeah,
2 or 3.
trash is one thing, but there's a lot more than just trash. I mean, is it, you know, is it clean?
That staff concern about Public Works wanting them to replace, they're already supposed to do that. It's the third line, or it's like, it's on this contract already. Yeah, it's on the checklist. So if
maybe-
they're asking for that, then, and it's not being done, then that makes me wonder if there's other things that might not being done. And it's just looking at the paper. I'm not talking about the quality of work or anything other than I noticed that we're requesting something that's already on a list that should be happening. Because my brain loves to pick things out at the last minute at 8 o'clock at night.
It's only 8 o'clock?
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
Well, I think what we need to do is, it looks like, you know, as we said, this is focused on giving Melissa the authority to negotiate it. So I think we just need to make our little list of things that we would like her to drill down on and just say, please negotiate it. And here's what we want, and bring it back.
why can't
Right.
we have Melissa just go out and research this next week? She won't be here next week, but the following week, just go out and take this list with her and go kind of, yep, that's good. Yep, all this, and then we'll kind of, you know, kind of check up.
Test and check and verify or whatever.
We've never done a checkup, and I don't think it would be a bad idea. I mean,
Well, not like, yeah, we can table it pending an evaluation by staff.
Well, or
Because I have heard concerns.
What-
And that maybe has, you know, and not concerns that I really want to drag through the mud, just stuff that I think merits double checking before we.
so is that, Pat, what's the difference of tabling it pending review and versus giving Melissa authority to negotiate?
Because she's going to have to come back with it anyways.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like regardless of what she negotiates, it's going to come back to us. So
Yes.
it doesn't matter, however you
Yeah.
want to
But do we
make the
want to
motion.
direct, this would be directing Melissa to do that. If we make a motion, right?
Well, yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. However we want to table it, we table a director, table it pending more information, knowing that she's the one that's going to get the more, you know, the information. So.
Yeah.
But what are we, I guess, so what are we looking to get?
But it's by May 1st because that's when her contract ends. When you look at it, this clean contract ends May 1st. So she wants, that's the reason why we're trying to get this done now, is look on the very first page. It says for May 1st in the motion. You know, that's in Melissa's thing, is to get it done by May 1st. Well, that's
But
what
it doesn't say that a contract ends on.
It says it expires May 2024, so I would assume that
Yeah,
would be the end of.
it expires May of, yeah.
I would assume that's the end of May. I don't know if that buys us enough time or not. But I do see where you say the first.
Yeah.
So,
It says that in her mock motion, so
well,
that's the reason why I said that.
we have to realize, you know, she is the new city administrator, and I'm going by what it says up here, May 2024, and I'm assuming that goes through, take effect.
Oh, yeah, and here, the
And the
motions that
contract
Melissa
says
has given
May
to us,
1st.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Perry. The motions that Melissa has given to us say motion to let her negotiate with a finalized contract prior to May 1. That's what she's,
That's what makes me think that it isn't to the end of May.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you now after rereading the first
Yes.
paragraph. I believe it is May.
That's why I said this.
I agree with you.
But why would she have a suggested motion? Which I like to remind everybody, these are suggested motions. You don't have, like, we are not beholden to say anything like this. But the first suggestion she has is just authorizing her to negotiate prior to May 1st. So I don't understand.
I think we can still approve it next meeting and that will still be within May because it,
Yeah, and so maybe that is what we need to do is make that first motion that she said, and then she'll come back after she negotiates, with our conversations that I'm going to have with her and after Joseph gets the meetings done. So I think that we can safely, if you guys wanted to, make that first motion and get everything done that we wanted to get done.
So she would negotiate and then report to us.
Then to come back with that negotiated contract and we would make the,
Money.
right.
Yes.
I'll
Yeah,
move
there's
to,
no lease or policy that's going to happen without us.
I'll move to allow CA Radcliffe to negotiate the contract with Scotty McLean and return with a finalized contract prior to May 1st.
that
Second.
may require a special meeting. It should be.
I just don't see it happen prior to May 1st.
Yeah, I guess.
I'm gonna decline that motion,
Mhm.
strike that motion.
Because today's the 18th.
Right.
She's gone all next week.
That's time, isn't it? I mean, if you had to get it done.
Well,
I'll
I think
withdraw
that-
my second.
She wouldn't have put it in there if she didn't think she could try to get it done. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I don't.
I'll
to me
go with
personally-
it. I'll roll with it.
To me personally.
I'll roll with it. But I think if we're
I'll
gonna,
second it.
yeah.
I'll second it.
Perry actually seconded.
Oh, I'm sorry, Perry seconded it.
But I think Perry was onto something. We should seek out satisfied customers,
Oh, yeah.
whether it's the visitor center, community building. I mean, I've never been in this particular building where the garbage cans were overflowing, and quite frankly, the bathrooms have been quite clean. The only time I noticed a shortage of paper towels was when we were going through the hiring process. We were out of paper towels for 2 or 3 days, but
And
Well,
by the
and
way, the community building is not included in that contract.
Yeah, it is.
It is?
Yes.
No, I
Well,
think so. Where?
bathroom, Buffalo Park, restrooms, visitor center, American Legion Hall.
And there's also community building next.
Community building, the top of page 37.
Yep.
Yeah. and
Twice
then
monthly, it's supposed to be cleaned.
Council chambers, city hall restrooms. I think the only one,
Okay,
should-
but
the police
I'm
department.
sorry,
I think
but
the
if
police,
you read the body of the contract, it actually makes a reference, now I can't find it, of course, but to requests for the community building to be an additional.
Right now it's just monthly, Perry. So they want to add it a little bit more. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I
needed,
need to find it
should
again.
be included in the quote for all buildings except the community building and Legion Hall.
says it's done, well, no, it isn't. Community building isn't checked twice monthly, but it is the restroom.
Once it's rented out, I know that's what the American Legion, the rental fee, that was, because
Oh.
then she cleans it. That's why I think the exclusion is. Because it's only ever in there if it's rented out, and then the rental fee covers part of her cleaning fee. I think that's why the American Legion building and them are out of it, correct, guys?
It's as needed
Yeah.
items.
That was the as needed part.
Included except, so the exception of the community building and Legion Hall is because it's scheduled.
Oh, I see.
Okay, so we got a motion in a second. Any other questions? And if we individually go to the administrator with anything we remember or concerns we have, we'll be okay. Like, as long as we stay away from a quorum, we can help her out a little bit.
Yep.
I'll call for the vote on that. Motion, Counselor Pogwitz.
Tim, yes.
Counselor Velisis.
Yes.
Counselor Rat.
Yes.
Counselor Tidy.
Yes.
and Counselor Burns.
Yes.
So Perry, you can still hear me when I lean back?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
These mics are good.
Well, and when I do my minutes, I'm like yelling. I'm usually more upset than at council meetings, but I'm loud.
And I just want to have one other thing for the finance committee. I mean, this is big, as Tim brought up, this is kind of a chunk of change. And it kind of bothers me when we have these things coming up before we actually know what the budget is, you know? I mean, I guess there is in the contract that if it turns out we don't have enough money, we can end it or change it. So I guess that's the out.
Yeah, I mean,
Even
Gotta
if
get
we
it
were
done.
flush, we would want to still have exactly the same fiscal concerns about, like, every dollar is a tax dollar.
Yeah.
So moving on, right? We called for the vote.
Yes,
We know where we're going. I gotta find my. We are on.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the appointment of Dave Johnson as budget officer for the 2024, 2025 year.
second,
Ooh, okay.
All right, any discussion?
No.
no.
Okay, I'll call for the vote. Counselor Pogwitz,
Tim, yes.
Counselor Tidy,
Yes.
Counselor Burns,
Yes.
Counselor Rask,
Yes.
Counselor Velisis.
Yes.
Okay, so we're moving on to 8D, discussion of water contract payment plans. That's kind of tough without the administrator here. And this is about SDC fees and payment plans and if, I mean, I don't, it kind of seems like it's the cost of doing business to me. Like it's insulting to all the other people that bucked up and paid it, you know, like it's
Right.
part of building a home. But that's what's on the table. That's the discussion.
I mean, it doesn't hurt the city. Well, it takes more time.
It said over
1 to 2 year period.
1 to 2 years. So instead of paying it 1 year, an additional year, I think.
Well, as long as it's like you paid in full before it's hooked up.
Right.
It's
And then what's the point though?
there's kind of a whole bunch of things put together in here because like one of it is like water bills, some of it is SDC fees. So I mean, doesn't she say for overdue water bills? So it's kind of, I think things are in different categories. But the motion is to ask her to research it further. So it's not like we're deciding to do this. The thing I would have with the risk of SDC fees is if somehow, I mean, one of the things we did say with like that well ordinance is like, we want to make sure people pay their SDC fees before they hook up or before even they, you know, if they're going to be on a well, we still want them to pay it because otherwise they're going to like, it's going to put the city in the position of having to go and like collect, which is a big cost. And so that's why the way that thing was set up is like you have to pay it before you get your planning clearance. And then that way we know that we get it. So
This would
that's
be a benefit to a developer, in my opinion.
I have a hard time like directing staff to burn time on
Yeah.
something that's going to cost us time and money for, I mean, it almost seems like somebody came and asked, like, I don't know how this came out of the blue.
I would make a motion to direct staff not to research this topic further. That is my personal.
I'll
opinion.
second that.
Okay, any discussion on that?
Your statement pretty much summed it up for me because
Yeah.
It'd be great if we had time to talk about stuff like this.
Exactly. I agree with you 100%.
And that's yeah, okay, so I'll call for the vote. Counselor Burns,
Yes.
Counselor Velisis,
yes.
Counselor Tidy,
Yes.
Counselor Pogwitz,
Tim, yes.
and Counselor Rask.
And I didn't
Yes.
mean to just shut it down. I meant to make the motion so we could have a further discussion if anybody needed to, but I didn't need one to.
I didn't either.
No.
Great.
So we still have the one thing, the Beacon Broadband letter of support. We got moved all the way back down.
Yep.
That was it, because it was new business.
Oh, right.
Just reminding you, because it's been a long meeting.
And we did decide if we did that, we could remove the portion we didn't like, correct, Ann?
Yeah, it's our letter of support.
Yeah, it's our letter of support.
That's what I would recommend that we do.
Can you come up quickly with a,
We'll just say strike that last part out.
Part you want to strike
Yeah, like
out?
what grammatically,
Yeah,
like
let me just
striking
find it
that.
here.
Yeah, I'm not trying to.
I just wonder very much. Glad we got.
We gotta have the same
Sentence.
urgency at 6:30 that we do at
Glad.
8:30. It's always a bad one.
Okay, basically we will, we strike the last sentence of paragraph 2. And I thought this just, I kind of felt like it's just so weird because it's in here. It just says to further support Beacon Broadband, we have included in our franchise agreement a blanket permit for working in public utility easements in their first year. Blanket permit. So
That's
weird.
kind of weird because I got the same, template for a letter of support from the port, and it didn't have anything at all like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think we just cut that out, and otherwise we have a fine letter of support.
So can you recraft that into a motion?
Okay, so I make a motion that we approve the letter of support for Beacon Broadband, removing the last sentence of paragraph 2, beginning to further support.
That's your motion? Second.
Any discussion? Okay, I'll call for the vote. Councilor Rask,
Yes.
Councilor Velisis,
Yes.
Councilor Pogwitz,
Jim, yes.
Councilor Burns,
Yes.
Councilor Tidy.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a continuing action item of the discussion on ordinance enforcement. Didn't we come up with another continuing action item tonight?
The emergency committee goals.
Yeah. Okay,
Have to
so,
put that, but that's for the next time.
yeah, we're gonna add that to continuing action items, and that'll be something I'll pull out onto the regular agenda. But do we need to talk about the ordinance enforcement tonight? There's not really.
I still think we need to wait for I know I share the sense of like you really want to figure that out because it seems like we never figured that out. But I actually think it seems like Melissa's been responding to citizen complaints and stuff and being pretty good about that. Like she's, but I think we need the attorney maybe before we do that or get through the budget season.
Right, and it's just on continuing action items, so we don't have to speak about it. It's just tabled in the queue. But we
Okay.
can't.
Is that okay, or do you want to? I'm also, if people want to, I just am kind of thinking about the time and the bandwidth with the budget and the lawyers.
Yeah, and I think Melissa needs to be part of that discussion.
And if there's ever a time to be careful about putting things on the administrator, it's these next 3 months.
Oh, I agree.
It's, even if they were had been here for 20 years, it's like the load is crazy. Okay.
Even like pushing a couple items off to the next meeting.
Yeah, it helps. Okay, so we're moving into some considerations. Do we have any citizen considerations?
Yes, this is Jen Bailey. Can you hear
Okay.
me? Hey,
Yes.
so actually I was there earlier, you guys, because usually I participate via Zoom, but it wasn't working. I missed the first 6 minutes. I hung out for like an hour and a half, and then I decided to head back home because Zoom was working. So my immediate thing is that, I'm part of the Port Orford Jubilee, and I just talked to Melissa earlier today because I talked to her earlier about closing the road, closing 7th Street between Washington and Jackson on the 4th of July for the Port Orford Jubilee Car Show. So Pat, if she's already talked to you about this, great. But she told me earlier today she was going to bring it up at this meeting.
Yeah, and it got lost in translation. She did bring it up. So council, could I get a quick consensus to authorize the road closure for the car show on the 4th? I'm only asking because it's totally standard and normal, but there is.
So what time? What time to what time, Jen?
It's
Like first thing in the like 5 a.m. when we get out there until 3. So we expect
3 p.m. Awesome.
3 p.m. The car show should be done by then. They'll all be gone, and then that'll free up space, space for parking for the fireworks and everything after 3.
I'm good with it, guys.
Seems well thought out. Yeah.
Okay. So well, FYI, officially, Police Chief Hobart and John Isidore technically need to approve it. And I guess that hasn't actually happened yet.
Right, yeah, we're just talking about it. So it'd be
Yeah.
right.
Okay, so it's on
Okay.
the map. Technically, we should bring it back to council for that right
Well,
away.
Okay, see, the thing is that this is really kind of late. So if you guys could somehow give conditional approval until I hear back from Melissa that,
Well, you have until July 4th and we have 2 more meetings until then, right, Jen?
well, no, it's not like that. We got to be advertising this and identifying a location, and we're actually running kind of late, which is why I'm bringing it up.
By consensus, does anyone else have a problem with that?
I can't see a problem with it.
No.
Has there ever
Other
been a,
than the staff time and not knowing if the police chief or the head of public works has a problem with it.
has
But
there been a problem with it in the
7th
past?
Street,
It's right next to the school. The school doesn't want it on their,
It's not
Oh.
next to the school. It's 7th Street in front of the post office.
Oh.
So, and absolutely, if somehow the police chief or the public works director would have a problem with this, actually, I brought this up a while ago. This is not new. So I do think Melissa needs a chance to check in with both of them to make sure it's okay. I'd hope that would have happened, but if you guys need, I'm still unclear if you guys even need to approve it or not. But if you do need to approve it, I hope you do it right now.
So ironically, that was going to be my mayor concern, was the approval of right of ways.
Justin, so just the road just in front of the post office or up to Jefferson Street from Washington to Jackson?
Washington to Jackson.
But it's up
You
to the
know-
hall.
Yeah, but it's also blocking off like the business,
There's nothing on that street.
So
Quilt store,
the quilt store.
the quilt store.
Yeah, but
Right.
So-
But if
so-
it's on July 4th, we have to be concerned about the parade route too. But Jubilee obviously knows about the parade route, so that shouldn't be an issue.
so we know about the parade route, and all of the private landowners actually have access from other routes. And I'm prepared to get in touch with them. I have their contact info. I've done preliminary check-ins with them, but I just wanted to make sure it was okay with you, the city.
I think
For-
I want to check in with that quilt store because if that's a big day of
I
business
have-
for them or people come in
I-
and park.
In the quilt.
I have spoken to the tenant, and I have contact info for the property owner, and I think we're going to be okay. I definitely will check. I mean, if I have the go ahead from you guys, I'll follow up with her. If she
Then come
decides to
down.
stay open, then they can get at it from
The bookstore.
the other angle from 101. Yeah, the bookstore, Gary. Yeah. So, and
It's
the
just
private
way too
residents
cool.
there can get in there from Washington.
Yeah, it's just that, I mean, people who know that would know that, but if you're kind of appealing to tourists or whatever.
Is there a reason that is the most desirable
Well, it's close
spot?
to the Battle Rock too. There we have a lot of stuff that goes on
Well,
Battle Rock. So, I mean, just the parade is down 101 and it keeps a lot of people towards that south side of town.
Mhm.
I'm just, I don't know this is, but to me, we have the dinghy boat races at 1. There's a lot of people down there in that parking lot. In that style of town, it keeps
Mhm.
everyone in that area
Yeah.
longer in the day.
Obviously parking is premium down there. I get it. But the car show, we've done a lot of research into this. We've talked to car show people, and we really strongly think that this is the correct location. And so I hope you guys approve it. And I think the quilt shop, I really think it's going to be fine. I spoke with her, and
Well,
I will-
unfunctionally, yeah. I mean, I don't think anybody wants to oppose this, but we have a right-of-way process. We have to make sure it's okay with the fire
Well,
chief. We have to make
see,
sure it's okay with the police chief, but we might let me finish, please. We need to, we can make a motion contingent on that, or do something, but we just need to make sure, in my opinion, that we don't, like approve it contingent on police chief and fire chief approval, or on the basic right-of-way approvals type of thing. And that's the difference is it should have just been the regular paperwork filled out request, but it's kind of a last minute deal. It's Jubilee. We want to work with them. So I think a way around this would be approve the closure of the street contingent on right of way approvals.
And the post office will be closed. It'll be a holiday.
Mhm.
They'll be closed.
So
In my
moved.
mind, I can't foresee a problem here. It still keeps kind of like.
Oh, no, and I can't foresee a problem. That's not where I'm coming from. It's just like everybody has to jump through the same hoops regardless of who you are type of thing.
We only have one.
So can,
And it's
So-
unfortunate that it wasn't on the agenda, you
Right.
know.
So-
it's kind of.
okay, so a couple things. Number one, I had emailed Melissa about this some time ago, and I know she's swamped. And it was not clear whether or not you guys needed to approve it or not. And number two, I know this is coming in late, but they're actually, Pat, as far as Melissa and I seem to understand, there is actually no official city approve process for approving a road closure. So that's what she told me this afternoon. So obviously the police chief and public works need to approve it. And I know this is late, but there wasn't actually a formal approval process that I could have followed other than what I just did.
It's a
So-
city right-of-way request, and that form has to be filled out.
So-
Because it's
okay,
happened
so-
for the art shows
so
and
that-
I mean, I remember approving road closures every time
The
so
the
far
art-
that we've
the
done.
art
Okay.
shows-
Okay, thank you guys. I did not know that, and I don't think Melissa realized that.
Okay.
I am always on top of trying to follow all the rules with you guys, so I
It's not a big
apologize.
deal. I think we can make this happen, but you have to just turn in a right-of-way request for a street closure. We've had to do them in the past for the art show over off of 101 on the other side of the highway. We've had to do them for the Art and Seafood Festival year after year that the chamber used to put on. Anytime we close a road, it usually does come before the council.
So I'll make a motion that we allow the Jubilee.
Again, I'm just sorry. I wish I'd known that. I'll do that right away.
But before any motions are made, I'm going to talk about something later on. But right now, the right of ways are okayed by head of public works, police, and everybody. They're not coming back to us. So as we stand right now, Miss Bailey could go in and get that form tomorrow or Monday, get the boxes checked off by the police chief, the fire chief, and the head of public works, and this is done. This conversation is done.
Typically, but this is a road closure.
I know, but it's a right away type thing. And that's why my mayor concern is going to be, I don't think that we should put this on the employees of, we put the right of ways over. I thought that we had brought them back for things like this,
I thought so.
but it's unclear. And I know that we haven't been doing it. It's really ironic that I was going to talk about it in 3 minutes, but so is everybody here good by consensus that if she gets the boxes checked by the fire chief, the police chief, and John Isidore, that we can move forward?
I would really like
Yes.
to make clear that there's notification of, it sounds like you're doing that, Jen, but to just make it clear that there's notification of the quilt shop and probably Teresa too, since it's right there.
Yep, let's pull above them.
Well, that's a right away procedure though.
But she's
Right?
on-
I
Maybe
think that's
technically,
questionable too.
yeah.
I think it's just common courtesy to notify the residents. And quite frankly, it wouldn't be a bad idea just to pop a head in and say, hey, to the post office too.
Yeah, and I am, Jen, she's already done that, and she knows, she just heard our concerns, so I have no doubt that that's gonna
I agree.
happen. Okay,
And-
so does
Thank
that
you.
make sense to you, Miss Bailey, that if you go in and get the right of way form and get the boxes checked, that you're good to advertise?
Hey, I'm on it. I've already preliminarily talked to the local private property owners, and yes, thank you so much, you guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and we
Thanks,
look forward
Jen.
to the car show.
Oh, actually, we're going to be back next meeting probably about other stuff, but thank you for this.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Okay, any other citizen concerns? Thank you
Yeah.
for, thank you for
I've got
reminding
the-
me about that, because Melissa showed it to me about halfway through, and That was a long, long time ago. So thank you very much.
I've got a
Any more
citizen
citizens?
concern. I've got a
Okay,
citizen
go right ahead.
concern. Colababa, 611 Jackson Street. Why are they putting
Mhm.
the car show at 7th Street when they've been doing it for years over at the school? And also, people go to the post office 24/7. There's going to be a lot of unhappy people that can't go there on the 4th of July. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you.
Noted. Thank you, ma'am.
Any other online? Any councilor concerns?
Yes.
Oh,
I'm sorry, but since I was late, there was a couple things that I just needed to address really quick, if I may.
Yeah.
First, I'm sure you guys, I was appointed to the budget committee, and because of what's going on in my life and not being able to be there for a little while, I'm going to have to say I can't do that. And I apologize. The second one is to let you know that advertisement, for lack of a better word, for a city attorney was on the website, and it was published in the paper, but it lacked a heading, and it was it was very unclear. So we have, I think we're going to ask for that to be corrected. I know that I have talked with one attorney who is going to be applying, but I think it might be worth it to, I think the cost is $30 to put just a small ad that refers them to the city website in the Oregon State Bar Bulletin. So that's those two things. Pardon?
I was going to say, if I recall, that has to be done by the 1st of the month, but then we would have to extend the deadline for it like another month or something, right? Because if you post it.
Right,
so
but we
any-
don't have any applicants, so
For a month, it's not 2 weeks.
Well, if we put it in if we posted it in that bar thing and paid the money, I actually think it's more expensive, Perry, but that, you'd want to put it on for at least another 2 weeks, at least. I mean.
And Perry
it's
and
$30.
those same concerns were voiced like at the start of the meeting. We did have concerns along the same lines of the outreach of it. So,
Okay. It
actually,
is $30 for the first 20 words. And like I say, I'm thinking just 20 words that refer people to the website is all I was thinking.
And it's going to be advertised in the LOC.
Okay.
If you
Oops,
send that
did I
to
lose you
Melissa
guys?
or send it to me and I could tell her about it.
Okay, I will, for sure. The other thing is I don't know, Anne, did you share your article yet?
No, not yet. I was going to do that under my part of counselor concerns.
Oh, okay, well, go ahead. All yours.
Okay. So can I do mine? Yeah. Perry, as you guys know, is trying to start a little newspaper that's going to be a
It's
quarterly.
actually not me. It's
Oh,
the
okay.
Creative Collective, not me.
The Creative Collective. And she
Yes.
asked me to write a little article about the city water system. And she thought that maybe, we could have a little article from the city coming once every time, and it's every quarter. So I wrote a draft article, but I know, when we didn't have Melissa, I wrote a few press releases on behalf of the city, but, we have that question of like one of us writing for all of us. And I wondered if it might be more appropriate for either Melissa to write it, or is it okay for me to write it and pass it by Melissa, or just to have that conversation. I mean, it's a benefit to communicate with our citizens better. I'm a writer. I can help with that. We can have different topics.
I think just passing it by Melissa would be good for me.
I just kind of did a
I don't have a problem with it at all, but there is that attorney thing. It would be nice to run it by an attorney, but we don't have an attorney. So.
I don't think it's so much an attorney. It's just like for our own.
Your viewpoint, or is it city councilor and the licenses?
It's just kind of generic. It's kind of like, hey, a lot goes into fixing your water. It comes out of the stream and it goes down and we have a lot of leaks. And, you know, if you have a boil water notice, I mean, it's, you know, I'm pretty able to write a generic thing. That's not my view, but I also don't want to like, I just want to be clear about that. I think it'd be great if Melissa could get to do it eventually.
But it would still have to be okayed by council every month, right? I mean, it's not like we're just going to give someone a free ticket to throw articles.
Well, that's the question. Perry wants it to be every quarter. And so, you know, do we say we'd like Melissa to do that every quarter and say what's going, your concept was having something coming from the city. So
Right.
like there's city news. So it's a way to share more city news.
Could that be done under an admin report every quarter? Would that work, Perry? Like,
Well, the column will be called from the city desk, and it can be whatever the city would like to see in there. We wanted to have something on water because, you know, that's the predominant thing on everybody's mind for this first issue.
Yeah, this council is the city. Like, and how do you have one person writing something, or how does it
Well,
not
to
eventually
give it
make
to
a can of worms?
Melissa to approve it.
I think it makes more sense.
But what does Melissa know about the water
But
district?
that's why I said, is it
the
Counselor Velisis writing? I'm just saying, you know.
Well, I could say it. I mean, I think if I signed it as Councilor Velisis, I mean, you can see, I mean, I brought one for sample because Perry asked me this. I did it. And then as I was doing it, I thought, I want to bring this to you guys because I don't want to get crosswise in this role. I'm just trying to be, so you can see it.
But that's all I'm saying is it's a quarterly letter, so it shouldn't be too hard for the council to review it before it goes out. And I'm only saying it from not any personalities, nothing involved other than the voice is the voice of the council. And if it's not construed as the voice of the council, it's going to work against us.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, I hear you. What do you, so I think that could work.
I think it can work. I'm only saying this like I'm not being negative. I totally think it can work. I just want to make sure that the process is good. And
Yeah.
20 years from now, we don't have one person that has this. Because PNR is a powerful tool that, you know what I mean, that some person could feasibly take and run
Well,
with.
we've seen it happen at our county level where like one county commissioner just is constantly talking and saying all their own views and not saying
Right.
other things.
I'm 100% supportive of it. And public outreach and communication and transparency is key as long as we stick with the process. And I think with that quarterly time frame that it's not going to be a problem.
And you know, like we just did that, for example, with that water poster. And one thing that's really cool is when we're doing water grants, then we can say, oh, we're doing this like with
Mhm.
water or whatever. We're doing community outreach. So it is a benefit.
And we're
Right.
supposed to do community outreach.
Yeah.
For grants.
And it will enhance anything we put out there if everybody has a chance to put in their
Yeah.
amendment. You know what I mean? It's just cleaner. And then somebody's not like the next month, like, oh, well, you put that, you should have put that, or, you know, just the nature of it.
Well, so for this
Right.
month, I printed one out. I didn't get it in time to get it to you all ahead of time because I was just kind of super busy this week. I can share it with you. I think Perry, your aspiration is to get it done by when? May 15th or
May 1st.
May 1st? I don't
Yeah.
know. Could you guys look at this now or before the end of the meeting, or what's your druthers at this point?
How long is the article? How many pages?
Oh, it's this.
Would you like to just read it to us?
Yep.
Thank you. Ann?
Quite a lot goes into delivering the drinking water that comes out of your faucet if you live in Port Orford. The city sources its water from the North Fork of Hubbard Creek, just east of town. The water is pumped from a small reservoir into the city's treatment plant at the edge of Buffington Park, where it is purified and made potable. Then it's piped up to the large tank on Coast Guard Hill that supplies most all the households in our town by gravity flow. In a few neighborhoods higher than the tank, pumps boost the water uphill. From the city's water lines, each household connects in order to receive a flow of safe and reliable drinking water, unless there's a break. Despite the efforts of public works staff, old distribution pipes routinely leak or break, and as a result, we lose about half the water our city's treatment plant purifies. The large break that occurred in February lost about 300,000 gallons of water. When there's a break, you may turn on your tap and get no water or brown water. To report loss of water or leak, call the city after hours, call dispatch, numbers from the city website. The city will notify all impacted residents, and you may be asked to boil your water for a period until test results ensure the water is again safe to drink. This is a huge inconvenience, of course, but could also be a matter of safety. To solve the problem of old pipes, the city needs to upgrade them. To tackle this problem, the city's applied for a $7 million FEMA grant to replace the highest priority, most leak-prone lines. The city has also applied for a $2.5 million community development block grant to secure a new raw water storage tank to give us a backup supply. Meanwhile, the city's been working towards dredging its reservoir to address some other water supply issues. Fixing Port Orford's water supply problem will not be quick and easy, but given the availability of federal infrastructure funding, now is the time to work on it.
I like it. The only one thing that comes to my mind, whenever you mention a number, that's the number everybody's gonna
Only
remember.
thing I thought of too is the numbers.
They're gonna,
Don't give them how much we lost.
yeah,
Okay.
because all they're gonna remember is, oh, it only cost 7 million to fix the problem.
Yeah,
And
only.
we all know that 7 million
Just one little piece of it.
is a super small, so you either attach a percentage to that 7 million or you,
You can even do 7 million and then, but that fixes 23%, you know what I mean, of the city's, pipe.
Well, I said the highest priority, most leak-prone lines, but I don't know what percentages. It's a pretty
see what I'm
small
saying, though,
percentage.
that-
Yeah.
it's smaller
Yeah.
than 23%.
Well, but you see what I'm saying though. this
No,
stuff.
I know that, but that's what I'm saying. I don't want to confuse residents with that. I've learned over the years, when you mention a number, that first number is the only one that go, well, you said 5 years ago it was only $7 million.
Yep.
That's, I swear to you,
Oh, no, yeah,
it'll come back and bite us in
I'm
the rear
glad she
end.
wrote it.
How about to begin to tackle this problem? The city has applied for a FEMA grant
There you
to,
go.
maybe I just get rid of the money.
Just leave out the number. Yeah, just leave the number out and just say the city's applied for the FEMA grant to fix the most.
And
Yeah.
only for one reason, and that's the only reason I could think of, because I just,
And
anytime.
it's not for the whole system, it's for the highest
It's just for,
priority.
yeah.
Yeah, and they don't, but the highest priority, they may think it's just one pipe on one street.
Yeah.
It's just like when my, like if we have a leak and I tell my wife we lost 5,000 gallons, well, she thinks it's like 2 5-gallon pails. And I know what it is.
Right, okay.
So
So I got
we
rid of
could
that.
Fix these high priority lines and still be losing 40% of our
Oh,
water.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Right, that's it. On the other side of that, I've made those changes. Those are really good. And I mean, I think it's great to get everybody's input. I wanted to really emphasize that. I
And I
really
think it's
appreciate
great
that.
that you've taken that on, and
Appreciate that.
the fact that you'll share it with us is wonderful. So,
Okay, well, we can go from start doing it that way, and then hopefully maybe maybe Melissa can take it over someday, and or if there's other topics we want to do. And then just the other piece of this I did want to say is I think it's really great. I hear from citizens all the time that are like, oh, you're not doing, what about these infrastructure grants? Well, how come you're not doing it? So I think it's pretty cool to say that we have applied for over $10 million, maybe even we've applied for over $10 million of grants in the past, whatever,
Yeah.
year,
Yeah.
and so
not
that's
say
something
what
we
it's
should be
for.
proud of,
Yeah.
I mean, that we're doing that. We're pulling
Yeah.
this off. We're trying. We're not just, staying in place. We're trying. So that's a good thing,
Absolutely.
Well,
And it would
don't
be-
forget, there's always going to be somebody that's unhappy regardless of
Yeah.
what you do.
Right.
And that'd be in the packet prior to each quarter.
I guess that's what we'd have to figure out, Perry. You'd have to figure out your quarter and then, because I'd have to
Right.
do the deadline ahead of time. So that's, that's doable, but you'd have to figure that out and I'd have to figure out how to make sure I could pull that off.
Okay.
Other topics
do
that
that.
other counselors have, since is Perry saying this is going to be from the city desk, or maybe I'll just go back to Melissa and see if what her feeling is. Maybe she's going to want to talk about stuff.
Yeah, I've always wanted to get to where our city administrator wrote a monthly or quarterly
Yeah.
update to the citizens about stuff. Water
Exactly.
is very important.
And
The
this-
emergency is another one. I'd like to do something about the emergency preparedness.
Today,
Absolutely.
No, she talked about it we talked about it, or Perry talked about it to me, but we didn't put it on the agenda because she asked me separately, just kind of like, can you do this? And then I kind of, as I tried to do it, my first draft was longer. Then I realized I have to bring this to you guys, and it didn't come onto the agenda just because I put it on as I figured it was sort of not like,
no, I just mean the conversations of it.
yeah,
but-
just that the conversation could happen.
uh-huh.
And then, but other topics, you know, could come up certainly. And so,
Thank
and
you.
then a few other, oh, the other consideration on that is I kind of feel like if we're going to give this to the Creative Commons newspaper, that we really need to give it to Matt too, because I feel like it's really important to support Port Orford News, which is our paper of record that has been around for however long. And I just feel like that's a really important community resource too. So anyway,
Absolutely.
we would do that. So the only other things I wanted to say, maybe to put onto continuing action items, is implementation of the STR ordinance. I know it's kind of like we got so much going, but it just seems like we need to put that onto the back burner. And then I just wanted to tell you, maybe I should have done this during my watershed liaison report. I want to start working on continuing to look for more grants. And I'll just mention that, you know, the gal at Oregon, Business Oregon suggested we might have to upgrade our water master plan or whatever, and as we go and look for them. But I'm just going to keep trying to, I feel like we finished some big things right now. And so I think it's important. Everyone I've heard say, you just got to keep looking for more and more. So I'm going to try to do that. So just wanted to say that.
We did discuss the STR ordinance in the finance.
Oh, good.
Because it is part of it.
Right.
And
Great.
we're going to have to make a couple changes, I think. So,
okay.
But I think it's all for the good.
Good.
We won't discuss that right now. So. Yeah. Anyway, but yes, you're right. We put that ordinance into play and we haven't collected a penny on it yet.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
but Melissa says there's not a month or week that doesn't go by that she's not getting calls from these people because they're really concerned. They want to make sure they pay to be able to lock in their space or whatever.
Yeah. So we just gotta, it's sort of right there. We have so many critical tasks to get done, and that's like right there behind
We're
everything
close,
else.
but we have a couple of changes that
And
we're
we,
talking about.
if we could be careful about, like, for counselor concerns, if we could stay away from things that need discussion or that we're going to take action on, it's not like in this kind of thing. I'm not saying it's improper, but it just sets us up for the potential to do something that somebody's going to call us on. Not a problem whatsoever. I'm just like worst case scenario guy. What else? Anything else?
That's it.
Any other counselor concerns?
I love the door hangers, but nothing screams caution. This is orange. This would be awesome. This means your water's back on. This means your water's off. I don't like it. It was white. This doesn't scream do something. I love it. I love the concept of it. You know what I mean? I love the concept of water on this one, but the whiteness doesn't say emergency. Right. Every lockout tag out is orange or bright red. You know what I mean? Some of them.
Yeah, I'm sure we got quite a bit of them, but it's like maybe we should get a little Mr. Yuck sticker.
I'm
or
just saying,
something to put on
this
there.
for the next order, if we could get a different color, it'd be awesome. That's it.
Okay. Anyone else? Gary, Tim, Perry? Perry already's done. The only major concern I have is I thought that we, like, obviously there's been some transitions, but I thought like 6 or 8 months ago, I brought up that I thought that right away should come back to the council to avoid problems for staff. You know what I mean? Because after the work, it's like some other building came up and it's like, well,
that was previous.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not good community outreach to put that on the staff because we're the ones that are going to hear about some of the things. So I thought it was a done deal. I thought we had a consensus. And
I thought we always did.
That was, no, it went away for a while.
It went away for a while, but then we tried to bring it back. So I'm going to
talk about, John had talked.
I'll just put it on the agenda next month to make it official.
I don't think we ever brought it back. You've brought it up a couple times, but we never brought it back.
And then everything else changed in November and we haven't been back.
Yeah, it was all right.
Yeah. But it was about 6, 7 months ago. You had talked about it, bringing it. We liked it, but we were going to bring it back.
And yeah, it's cumbersome and it makes people wait, but there's like with all of the boom that's going to be going on, it's one of the ways we can manage the growth and not get in situations where the neighbors are going to come and complain and then we end up having to like pull it back, or we just trying to avoid conversations that we don't want to have because we have enough of those already. Anything else? Okay. 8:47.
Like, it's like this, you know, like if you hit your knee with one of those, your knee would go like that. When Pat hits the the table, my whole body goes like boom.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.